wish to express the readiness of Nigeria to enlarge the field of economic cooperation with Poland.
Nigeria and Poland to deepen and expand bilateral ties for economic cooperation.
As far as practicable, no Nigerian is disenfranchised on account of displacement by emergency situations.
Eligible internally displaced persons will participate in 2023 general elections, INEC assures Nigerians.
Ministry of Education seeks intervention of pro-chancellors and vice-chancellors towards brokering food before public.
Today, we shall focus on sustaining the gains in the fight against insecurity.
Well, let me begin with a quotation here. As far as the daunting security challenges we face are concerned, we can tell you that the worst is over. Never again will terrorists, bandits, and their cohorts hold sway in our country. End of quote.
Well, those words of assurances were from the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, at the joint media briefing on ministerial scorecards, which took place on Monday this week. Now, it highlighted the successes recorded so far by the security forces in their onslaught against terrorists and other criminal elements.
And of course, Lai Mohammed admitted that although there are still pockets of attacks and kidnappings, especially on soft targets around the country, the federal government believes these are not on the same scale experienced in the past, as some of the terrorists are now either on the run or surrendering their arms due to the recent bombardments by the Nigerian military and other security agencies who have succeeded and are succeeding in substantially restoring security in the country.
Now, other ministers, including those of defense, that's General Bashir Magashi, Interior Minister Rauf Aregbesola, as well as Police Affairs Mohammed Dingyadi, alongside the Chief of Defense Staff, General Loki Irabo, were also at the press briefing. Now, they acknowledged that heightened insecurity under the present administration was the greatest threat to national peace and security since the Civil War. They, however, indicated that a directive by the president has eased the tension with a level of calm on account of the performances of the security forces.
There's no doubt about that, Kingsley. Recall also President Buhari had given several marching orders to the service chiefs to hunt, pursue, and speak to terrorists in the language they understand as a result of widespread fear and trauma among the citizenry arising from perceived belated and ineffectual actions of the government and the security forces.
Well, the feeling of insecurity was further aggravated when a state governor, disturbed by the spate of killings in a state, directed every citizen to own a firearm for personal protection, particularly during the rainy season. We're here talking about the governor of Zamfara State, and that perhaps captured the extent to which the state of insecurity had degenerated at a time.
Well, thankfully, there seems to be some form of respite in recent times, and even the media headlines and public discourse on terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, separatist agitations, crude oil theft, cultism, armed robbery, and sundry crimes appear to have abated.
Well, some pessimists may argue, regardless, that what we're experiencing is probably an uneasy calm, but nobody, of course, prays for the resurgence of terror, unless the one is an enemy of the state. Now, that's why the government and citizens alike are, of course, favoring the current respite from the spate of insecurity that once racked the country. Now, all thanks, of course, to the bravery and gallantry of the security forces who toiled day and night to ensure that the rest of us sleep with our two eyes closed.
And indeed, how sustainable are the successes recorded, therefore, in the fight against insecurity in recent times, Kingsley? And what are the winning strategies and what synergy is required among key players to win the war against terror and entrench peace for national development? These are some of the issues we will take up with our panel of guests on the conversation segment later in the course of the program. Welcome to another episode of Good Morning Nigeria. I am Yusuf Dadabu Usman. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join my colleague Nadabo to also welcome you to the program. We're live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, broadcasting from our Abuja headquarters studios. In the course of the program, we'll have our complimentary segments, and those will include newspaper review and business. For now, we'll take the highlights of the morning news with Musbao Dan Wahab. Good morning, Musbao.
Very good morning, Kingsley and Yusuf. The news. Nigeria and the Republic of Poland have resolved to cooperate and collaborate more effectively towards supporting efforts at addressing the food and energy crisis bedeviling the global community as a result of the war in Ukraine. Consequently, a memorandum of understanding on agriculture has been signed between the two countries as part of a strategic dialogue aimed at deepening and expanding their economic cooperation. This formed the major highlights of the high-level talks between President Muhammadu Buhari and his Polish Republic counterparts at Duda in Abuja.
That exists between both countries, and hope that this will pave the way to a mutually beneficial win-win relationship. I wish to express the readiness of Nigeria to enlarge the fields of economic cooperation with Poland, including the fields of energy, agriculture, and manufacturing.
The new leader of the United Kingdom's Conservative Party, Liz Truss, has assumed office as UK's Prime Minister, making her the third UK female Prime Minister in history following Margaret Thatcher and Theresa May. Liz Truss was appointed by the Queen at Balmoral as required in the UK Constitution. As the leader of the ruling Conservative Party, Truss, now British Prime Minister, replaces Boris Johnson, who resigned early July after a scandal-hit government. Truss, in her inaugural speech, promised to rescue the country from economic recession.
With energy bills and to secure our future energy supply.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the new UK Prime Minister Liz Truss on her assumption of office. President Buhari, who rejoices with the former Foreign Secretary, said antecedents in government, politics and diplomacy will further shape and strengthen relations with Nigeria and other nations. He affirms that the shared ties between Nigeria and the UK remain strong, positive and mutually beneficial, while working with Prime Minister Liz Truss to deepen the relationship in the interest of both countries. Similarly, President Muhammadu Buhari acknowledged what he termed the warmth and friendliness of immediate past Prime Minister Boris Johnson, wishing him the best in his future endeavors. To other matters, senators screened 4 reappointed presidential nominees as non-executive directors of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, Ubasani, urged the nominees to justify the confidence reposed in them by living above board.
This screening exercise will avail us as a committee the opportunity to gain deeper insight into your professional experiences.
Still from the National Assembly, where the House of Representatives Committee on Finance is seeking for sanctions against ministries, departments and agencies of governments involved in spending internally generated revenue. It was when management of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission disclosed that it has expended part of its IGR running into billions of naira on overheads.
Remitted 1 billion, yes, sir, out of 4 billion. Out of 4 billion, sir. What happened to the remaining 3 billion? We use it as a running cost, sir. That half year, you have spent 2 billion outside appropriation. Even more unfortunate that you're a fully funded agency, you're expected to do 100% remittance.
There is no assurance but eligible entirely displaced persons, either by insurgency or fraud, will participate in the 2023 general elections. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu gave the assurance at a meeting to validate regulations for voting by IDPs in the 2023 general elections.
As far as practicable, no Nigerian is disenfranchised on account of displacement by emergency situations.
And what seems like the last efforts towards brokering peace between the federal government and ASUU, the Ministry of Education is seeking the intervention of pro and vice chancellors of federal universities to ensure that students return to lecture halls. This is another move by the federal government to resolve the lingering ASUU strike.
The circumstances therefore all councils and senates of our universities are enjoined to rise up to their responsibilities. We must together continue to work to restore our public universities to where we were in the 60s and 70s.
And those are the highlights of the news for this morning. You can always get more in the course of the day. We'll take a break, and Good Morning Nigeria will continue with Yusuf and Kinsley.
Are you aware that your perfect family may be under threat by germs? Germs can cause infectious disease. These infectious diseases are amongst the biggest killers of adults and children. Illness-causing germs are everywhere. In unclean bathing water, on your clothes, dirty surfaces, on cuts and wounds. To protect your family from germs, use the power of Dettol's 1 capful. In your bathing water, in your laundry, for surface cleaning, for first aid, and to protect your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Please Dettol Shore.
Get into this beautiful pasta. Chicken soup, juicy looking prawns. Thank you. I think fish is here. If you're in Lagos, you need to check out this place. It's beautiful. Oh. I don't want to be an amebo, but you guys have to see this. You? It's perfect. Girl, I'm just trying to give you good content.
Get 2 GB data plus 1 hour YouTube free on Airtel Super Binge plan. Dial *141 *514# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Mama T, wetin COVID vaccine poster they do for your domot? Abi you don't begin work for those people.
Big mommy, now me put the poster there. Our teacher say COVID-19 vaccine they say well and it go protect you, me and all our family from COVID-19. Our teacher sabi road to big mommy. If you follow road.
My name is Dr. Chinonso Egemba, and they call me a Aproko doctor. The COVID-19 vaccine na ogbonge way to take protect you and your family from wahala, sickness and death from COVID-19. Or you have to get your own free COVID-19 vaccine, sharply go any healthcare facility way near you.
What is happening? Your eyes are red, your hand is a machete and a gun. See, I am angry and I can't even contain it. See. Oh, my guy, calm down, calm down. I have planned to go and destroy these people's businesses in the city. I have to retaliate on what they've done at our place. They cannot even take and have it now, never. If you destroy their business here, and they destroy that of those close to you over there, especially that your brother who sends you steady cash, how would you survive? Would your dreams be on hold? See, what you're saying is correct. But I'm still angry. The best way is to embrace peace. With peace and unity.
My people, let us embrace peace and unity. Let's learn to live as brothers and sisters for a progressive, prosperous nation. This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Everywhere you go, from banks to hospitals to public offices, mass transit stations, airports and even telecommunication centers, senior citizens are treated as nuisances. They are not. They are senior members of our society and they deserve the utmost respect. We shouldn't be having our aged fathers and mothers standing in long queues to withdraw their monies at banks. Our retired senior citizens shouldn't be caught standing in buses for lack of seats or chasing after one just to get to their destination. Senior citizens shouldn't have to sit long hours in hospital corridors with no geriatric specialist to attend to them. Our senior citizens deserve better treatment from all of us. They deserve to be listened to. They are deserving of seat reservations on public buses and priority attendance in public spaces. As young people, we are quick to say, no one owes you. This is not true. We owe the elderly members of our society a helping hand, our services, and respect. Age-friendly societies have more senior citizens enjoying good health, living safely, and engaging in meaningful community work than those who do not. Dignifying age-friendly services for senior citizens.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria from the network on the network service that is of the NTA. It's now time for business news, and Comfort Amadou will guide us through.
Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dimitri Silva, says Nigeria is positioning to become a major gas supplier to Europe. Following the global energy crisis, the minister spoke on Tuesday during a panel session at the 50th anniversary edition of Gas Tech Conference 2022 in Milan, Italy. The minister maintained that funding of gas development was a win-win for Europe and Africa. So the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act PRA 2021, which has provided a clear fiscal framework for gas development, Nigeria will be able to attract more investment to the sector and increase its reserves. To the equities market, where trading session closed on a negative note. The all-share index shed 0.69% to close 49,644.92 basis points, and equity capitalization fell to 26.7 trillion naira. 138.9 million shares valued at 2.7 billion naira were traded in 41,247 deals. The top three trades were Sterling Bank PLC, Transcap, and Zenith Bank. With business news, Comfort Amadou.
Thank you very much, Comfort Amadou, for the business package. Up next for us now is Newspaper Review.
Okay, we have a couple of papers here. We will now go through them and see what they have in the package for this beautiful Wednesday morning. Can we get started with the Punch newspaper and then see what we have on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning? These few stories abound above the masthead and they include fuel scarcity hits Abuja as marketers shut stations. Details of that on page 25. Fuel scarcity hits Abuja as marketers shut stations. And on page 26, insecurity, FX crisis cut capital inflows by 23%. And on page 38, we have this story: federal government proposes 200 billion naira, 23.5% pay rise for universities. Federal government proposes 200 billion naira, 23.5% pay rise for universities. We also have another story there. INEC deleting double registrants from voter register. So is the chairman, Mahmoud. And moving down a little, there's a little window there beside the nameplate which says PDP NEC divided over call for IU's removal. Details on page 29. The big story on the Punch this morning is anti-drug war. A FG, that's federal government, freezes 600 accounts, seizes 249 luxury vehicles. You have details of that on page 2. In the following writers there, it says NDLEA confiscates 1.3 million dollars, 102,000 pounds, 14 million CFA, and 252 million naira drug proceeds. The second writer is court orders interim for future of billionaire Okatu's 25 property in factory. And don't buy drugs for youths. Agency warns politicians ahead of campaigns. Now moving down a little, Nigeria, Poland plan closer ties ink Abuja deal. Details on page 29. You can see the picture there of the president and then the Polish, representative. Moving down at the foot of the page, you have 3 stories there, one of which is on page 38. It says Southeast agitation may affect Obi. Atiku, says Center for Democracy and Development, CDD. And on page 16, security agents killed 30 bandits in Kaduna and Niger states. And on page 26, federal government grows VAT by 20%, rakes in 1.2 trillion naira. Details of that on page 26. Yes, Lord, do you have that?
We have also the Daily Sun and the leadership newspapers. Let's quickly take a look at some of the headlines on the front pages of the 2 papers. The lead story for Daily Sun, says Atiku, Tinubu and Obi to fight for 84 million votes. With a rider, INEC pledges to publish comprehensive list of registered voters soon. Other stories there on the front page. Niger government goes tough on civil servants over support for opposition parties, suspends salaries. That's on page 27. We have made significant impact. That's according to Kwara governor. Customs intercepts explosive breaking chemicals in Ogun. You have that on the front cover. And CBN goes after anchor borrowers debtors 6 to recover 5.7 billion naira loan. You have that on the front page of the paper. ASUU strike, that's the kicker for the second lead story. Federal government offers professors 35% and others 24% pay rise, with 2 riders there to consider position on no work, no pay policy, constitutes 14-man committee on grey areas, and committee of vice chancellors waits in, sets up peace building team. Those are the headlines from the front page of the Daily Sun. Now let's also take a look at the window page of the leadership newspaper. Leadership newspaper above the nameplate says Liz Truss formally takes over as UK Prime Minister. That's what you have on the front page there. And citing involvement in oil theft, federal government disbands anti-Vanda squad. Citing involvement in oil theft, federal government disbands anti-Vanda squad. That's what you have on that page. Now, this is a story that, of course, is going to generate quite some conversation. Budget Office DG, that's Director General, contradicts Pantamin, says 5% telecom tax stands. DG Budget Office contradicts Pantamin, says 5% telecom tax stands. And you also have the lead story, which is on ASUU. Says end in sight for ASUU strike as federal government reviews no work, no pay policy. Meets with vice chancellors, pro-chancellors in renewed efforts to end strike. Inaugurates 14-man committee to revisit BRICS report. An indefinite strike, anguish, and internal turmoil to me, as attributed to the Minister of Education, Adamu. We also have the DSS, NSA, EFCC move to cut off terrorism financing. After ultimatum expiration, electricity workers threaten to resume strike. Now, these are the stories we have on the 2 front pages of the papers that we're taking a look at this moment. Nadabu?
Okay, I think we can maybe take a look at some of these few stories, especially the one talking about ASUU. We've been on ASUU for the past 48 hours, been talking about that, and then seems as if there will be some, light inside given what is happening at the moment, the closed door meetings overnight and issues at stake talking about the government stand and the ASUU stand. But all the same, it seems like, Kingsley, there's much more to be done about this.
Well, there's still a lot that is outstanding. There are all kinds of propositions with regard to how to ultimately resolve the crisis, so that it is not that they reach a compromise and you say, okay, we are suspending the strike. 6 months or 9 months down the line, you issue another warning notice for a warning strike, and after a warning strike is a strike, by the way, the law doesn't recognize a warning strike. A strike is a strike, and then after you get back to business. What is it that can be done? I'm not hearing conversations around the funding of public universities, particularly federal universities. We're not hearing official comments. We're not hearing it either from ASUU or from the federal government itself, because what is obvious from what experts have indicated is that the current funding arrangement just cannot sustain the system. The federal government is offering, as according to the reports, pay rise 35% for professors and 24% for others. And then how far would that go? What is it that universities can do? If you have a uniform pay package for professors who live, for instance, in high-cost environments, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, Kaduna, and versus professors who live in other areas, how do they bridge this? Before you know it, again, we're back to the same old story of complaints of inadequacies and so on and so forth. And then there is also, in my opinion, the exceptionalism, it appears, of ASUU. If we wish to amend the appropriate Trade Disputes Acts and the labor laws with regard to no work, no pay, then you delete it from the laws. But if it is there in the provision and it applies to every other trade union, then it should apply, of course, across board, including ASUU itself. Because if you say you have gone to war for the purposes of ensuring that the benefits and entitlements and due regard are had to the public universities, there should also be the scars of war.
Well, Kingsley, there is no missing word that is about the no work, no pay, issue, because truly speaking, as the president said, okay, there wouldn't be any need to break the law. If that's what the law says, then it stands. But I'm much more concerned about the issue of the public university, as you say, talking about, the funding. How can universities be self-sustaining? We should really continue along that line, always coming to government for pay rise, for sustenance, for maintenance, for everything. I think in other climes, universities are supposed to be self-sustaining, and even self-sustaining, I must say, because they are the ones that generate, revenue for themselves in order to run their universities. Salaries could be there, but all the same major issues can just be part of what the university can do, and that will go a long way, in trying to, make university education more or less much more respected. Because as the dictum goes, that it's only when you put in a stake that you be a stakeholder, and then you can't really be a stakeholder without having to, get a little sweat out of it. So parents, the community, the society, the university, I think should start looking deep inwards in order to see how this very university system can be sustained individually and collectively, looking for internally generated revenue and how they can go by that. That would be a very good leap.
Well, it would be a good leap. We had again a conversation around that issue yesterday on how to rethink university autonomy, because again there are some impediments to the exercise of autonomy by universities and what they could therefore do to be in a position to generate their own revenue, as you will find in some other jurisdictions. So that's clear. But I think that it is probably overly optimistic to say that there's an end in sight for the ASUU strike, unless ASUU wakes up today and says, fine, we are calling off our strike. The 14-man panel that has been set up after the meeting of the Honorable Minister of Education leading the federal government with pro-chancellors as well as vice-chancellors of federal universities. The 14-man panel, what are the terms of reference for the 14-man panel? Is ASUU part of it? It means that the 14-man panel, well, the first do is work, and then you now invite ASUU and say, this is what we have on the table. But most significantly, in my opinion, to the extent that we do not get to hear at the end of this a revised funding arrangement for federal public universities, then we just back to the same old story of saying, oh, ASUU goes on strike, they make some gains, they make some wins, and then they say, all right, we'll continue to talk, we'll call off the strike, call the students back to campus, those who want to graduate, quickly graduate, and then they take up, and a year down, 2 years down, we're back to the same old story. So we hope that they're able to sort that out. The other story of interest has to do with the 5% telecom tax. I think that it is important. Today is Wednesday, and the Federal Executive Council meeting usually will hold today. There is no indication that the meeting is not going to hold. Now, the Director General of the Budget Office is saying that he is not aware of the revocation of the 5% levy on telecoms services. We believe that at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting, there should be a firm statement on what the exact situation is. Is the 5% levy on telecom services abrogated? Is it suspended? Or does it stand as the DG Budget Office is saying? They are, of course, from different ministries. One is the Ministry of National Planning and Budget and National Planning, and then the other is, of course, Ministry of Communications and the economy. So it's important that stakeholders have some clarity on this issue with respect to 5% levy on telecoms services standing or not standing. So that's for that. But you wanted to say something?
Yeah. At least looking at that 5% issue, I think no matter what it is, if it's not left the way it is, it seems it's going to tinker with the medium time expenditure framework, given the contents of that and what the law says about that. And no matter what the situation is, at least the 5% is a welcome development, but nonetheless is going to go a long way. Strengthening the law is looked at.
I'm sorry to leap in. The medium-term expenditure framework is not cast in stone. Let's be realistic.
Yeah, it is not really.
It's not. So if the president had said, look, there are complaints from stakeholders about the 5% levy as one of the additional sources of revenue, then of course you go back and revise it, and revise the MTEF, and then proceed therefrom. So we have all kinds of, we know that there is a revenue challenge, but revenue challenge is not one that should lead to the kind of lack of clarity that we are seeing with respect to whether or not the 5% levy will stand or otherwise. So that's one. There is a story that it's not on the front pages of the papers this morning. The story came about last week. If you recall, there were reports about Nigerians being denied entry on arrival at Dubai, even though they had, according to them, valid entry visas into that country. Well, there was a statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the statement said, look, the class of visas that you are applying for must be specific, because according to the statement, those who were struck or who were denied entry into Dubai had family visas. That is what they applied for. But they arrived without members of their family, or didn't have family members who are already resident in Dubai. So it means that when you are applying, be specific as to what you are applying for. But what I found more worrisome is the statement by the officer of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying that, I don't know whether that's part of what was not clear, that persons who are below 40 years of age will not be granted visas or will not be granted entry permits into the UAE or Dubai, which is one of the Emirates more specifically. I'm just wondering, is that, which was what, as I said, is not clear from the statement, is that restriction applicable to every person around the world who is seeking to get into Dubai? Or does it apply strictly to Nigerians to say, if you are below 40 years, then you cannot get a visitor's visa or a tourist visa to get into Dubai? If it applies specifically to Nigerians, I think that's a matter that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs ought to take on.
It may not really apply to only, to the whole world anyway. Neither should it also apply to Nigerians alone.
Specifically, why am I saying this, Narabu? Any Nigerian who is age 40, the Nigerian would have graduated at least 15 years earlier, completed youth service, been in some gainful employment. And so you are a person of means. So why therefore would it be that if you are below 40, age 40, you are potentially a Trump in Dubai or otherwise? I think that these are the kind of things that you get to hear sometimes, and then there's no clarity, and it's a slaw on Nigerians. There are many Nigerians well before now who made their wealth legitimately in their 30s. Yes. And there are many examples. And there are many Nigerians who are below 40 who are successful professionals. So why would it then be that there is a policy that will restrict Nigerians who are aged below 40 from entry? I know it's the right of a country to admit persons, but I think it's a matter that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs
should look into and then take it up seriously. I think we should call it quits on this segment. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. We shall now take a break. We'll be back in a moment with the program proper. Stay with us.
Every morning is an opportunity to take your hustle to the next level. Every morning is one day closer to your ambition. So, make every morning count. Cup after cup, morning after morning. Start strong, finish strong. Nescafe.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being a bold boy, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic
And I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
The Digital Switchover project, which is commonly referred to as DSO, which entails television channels switching from analog to digital broadcasting, is one of the biggest projects embarked upon by this administration. Branded as free TV, offers its viewers about 60 digital channels, including sports, music, movies, and news. The federal government has licensed about 23 photo box manufacturers. 7 of them for production, employing several thousands of people. We've made it now compulsory for all stations in Nigeria to only broadcast productions made in Nigeria for products which are produced in Nigeria.
Well, this is Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live from the nation's capital. As a prompt for our conversation this morning on sustaining the gains in the fight against insecurity, let's take this background report from our correspondent Kunle Adi.
A secure nation is at advantage of recording success virtually in every sphere of development. While it is evident that no nation is completely devoid of security skirmishes, the ability to quickly and eagerly respond to breaches is an underlying factor. Nigeria has had the cause to contend with security challenges ranging from terrorism to banditry, kidnapping, and farmers' herders clash, among others. Tongues have ceaselessly wagged over the inability of security agencies to decisively deal with the perpetrators. Recently, the federal government let the cat out of the bag, disclosing that hard times are gradually being eased off, maintaining that security agents have risen up to the challenge. It was an assurance that adequate peace is returning to the country and that the worst period of insecurity is over. The pointers are that in the past 4 weeks, more than 3,000 Boko Haram terrorists, including members of their families, have surrendered, with troops recovering large quantities of ammunition and illicit drugs.
Thanks to the purposeful leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, we can say, I want to repeat, that the worst is over, and peace and security are gradually returning to the land. Please seem to understand or respect this action. We may still witness isolated cases of security challenges here and there, but it will not be on the scale with military in the past.
Kidnapping for ransom, armed banditry, communal clashes. Accordingly, joint military operations are being conducted in the service to overcome the threats and to entrench peace and security.
The security agencies want to be challenged and likely debated groups and forces constituting the threats. What we face mostly now are flashes of cowardly attacks from the realm of groups that have been routed in one way or another.
How does government sustain the gains recorded on security recently? Which spark has been lacking and has now been reignited? Answers and other analysis with guests on Good Morning Nigeria in a moment.
All right, that was a background report by our correspondent. We have 2 regular guests on the security issues here with us in the studios. Let's welcome Brigadier General John Temlong. Of course, he was the first commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force and former president of the Alumni Association of the Defense College. General Temlong, glad to have you again on the program.
Thank you very much, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
Also here, another regular with us, Dr. Kabir Adamu, a security risk management expert. Kabir, Glad to have you this morning.
Good morning, Kingsley. I'm glad to be here.
And then from Kaduna via Zoom is Samuel Aruwan, Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Kaduna State. Good to have you on the program, Samuel.
Thank you. Good morning, and I'm happy to join you today.
Thank you very much. And also from Gusau via Zone 2 is Ibrahim Magaji Dosara, Commissioner for Information, Zamfara State, and he's joining us from Gusau. Thank you so much for joining us, Dosara. Okay, when we get in, then we continue our conversation alongside the other guest with him. But for a start, let's get started and get moving and see what justice we can make to, sustaining the gains in the fight against insecurity. And recently, we must all admit that, of course, there are some gains made. And, of course, the bandits, the terrorists, and, all those negative elements in the society have been traced and chased to where they are. They've been not having it easy. Let me start with you, Kabir Adamu. Can we have a sense of these gains? What are these gains really, and how much talked about is it? Why are we really, celebrating, or rather talking about the gains so much without looking at exactly what they are in tangible terms?
Thank you, Nadabu. To your question, why? First off, security is at the forefront of everybody's, existence, as it were. And this government, the APC government, both in 2015 and then in 2019, wrote on security as one of its focal points to win election. Now, of recent, there has been a lot of concerns regarding certain developments in the country. And I think the Kuje incident was a wake-up call for both on the government side and as well as on the generality of Nigerians. This happened on July 5th, as you recall, when the Kuje Custodial Center was attacked. And unfortunately, a significant number of the inmates at that custodial center were freed. Now, being that custodial center is in the Federal Capital Territory, and the fact that the attack was successful, coupled with the fact that a few months back, precisely on March 28, a train that left Abuja on its way to Kaduna was also successfully attacked. And till date, I think about 25 of the passengers of that train are still in the hands of the abductors. So then within that period again, there was the attack on the convoy of Mr. President in Katsina. All these are significant incidents. In the southwest, there was the attack in Owo, correct my pronunciation of that attack too was significant. And the fact that the attack was associated with a terrorist group also created a lot of national furore. Now, following the Kuje incident, a few diplomatic embassies here in Abuja released statements that were quite concerning, indicating their concern regarding the Federal Capital Territory. Now, this is the seat of government. Around the same period, the presidential guards were also attacked, ambushed in two major incidents that led to the death of some of the personnel that were within those convoys. So very concerning development, and I think that is as to the why. 2 days ago, about 4 or 5 cabinet ministers held a press conference. I think it was called an international press conference, where they met the media and presented facts concluding that there was a significant progress in terms of the government's achievement with regards to security. Now, that statement too has generated a lot of national discourse, divided, I would say, response. Some Nigerians think it's true, there were progress. Other Nigerians think, no, it's work in progress. I think I'm with that group that think it's work in progress. And I like data. I work with data. As you know, I run a consultancy, and what we do is we gather data, we analyze that data, and then from that data we present trends. What we've seen from that data is that in the month of July,
about 570 persons died thereabout in the country. Unfortunately, in August, there has been an increase, about 30% increase. About 800 plus persons have died. We're still validating the data, but it's hovering around that, about 820. My belief is that by the time we conclude on our validation, which will be in a few days' time, the figure would remain at about probably 827 or thereabout. So if from a mathematical point of view, if you are using statistics, there is a 30% increase thereabout between the month of July and the month of August. But if you go back to say March, when we recorded about 1,400 deaths in the country, and compare it with the month of August, then there is a reduction. So clearly, there have been certain progresses that have been made, and that progress led to the reduction. Now, what are these progresses? Perhaps in the course of our conversation, we can identify the specific issues that led to this progress, and maybe even discuss what we need to do to ensure that the figure is brought down to probably less than 100.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to clarify this for our viewers, the casualty figures you are talking about this morning, are they security related or just general fatalities arising from road accidents or crashes and all that? Are they specific to security incidents?
They are specific to security. We don't include safety issues like road travel accident that you mentioned, or even flooding. These are safety issues or hazard related issues that we don't include. They are all security related issues, and this is where the validation is taking place. We ensure during collection we don't include that, but during the validation we reconfirm that they are not included.
Okay. All right, so Dr. Kabir, thank you very much. We'll of course pause the headquarters studios where we have our two guests. Earlier, my colleague introduced Ibrahim Bagaji Dosara, who is the Commissioner for Information in Zamfara State. You can see him there on the screen. He's joining us via Zoom. Ibrahim Dosara, we're glad to have you on the program this morning.
Thank you, Kingsley. Good morning.
All right, so your visual image is very sharp, and the audio is also sharp. So we're going to take advantage of the two Zoom connections before we come back to the studios. But let's begin with Samuel Aruwan, who is the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs in Kaduna State. Samuel Aruwan, tell us, is there a respite from insecurity in Kaduna, which had been a hotbed in recent months?
Yes, to be candid, I can confirm to you that there is indeed significant progress in the fight against bandits and terrorists who have been carrying out their nefarious activities, especially in Birnin-Gwari, Chukun, Giwa, and parts of Kajuru, and also Giwa local government areas. We've seen significant counter-insurgency and bandit approaches. It may also interest you to know that the ground troops have done so much in neutralizing scores of bandits from Fodonwa, Galbi, Damba, Gwagwada, and also Kidandan general areas that stretches Birnin-Gwari, Giwa, and Chukun local government areas. And again, if you also look at the southern Kaduna general area, the general area has been calm. Troops of Operation Safe Haven have also been working very hard, and you will quite agree with me that the southern Kaduna general area, like I said, has been calm for some months. The same thing again if you look at the Kaduna-Abuja road. Kaduna-Abuja road is very strategic in view of the fact that it links the northern part of the country to the federal capital, and also southern part of the country. Within the last 2 to 3 months, we have not recorded significant incident on the roads that straddle about 3 local government areas. We've seen a lot of synergy. We've also seen a lot of deployment of troops. The Operation Thunder Strike has been strengthened. The Operation Wild Punch also are doing so much, added with the air components of the different operations. So I agree with what my brother, Dr. Kabir Adamu, said. I concur with him. There is indeed significant inroads in view of what we have experienced in the past. And furthermore, if you recall, Kaduna State government has been talking about the intersection between the Boko Haram and the bandits, and we saw the culmination of their intersection on the 28th of March 2022, when the train that left Abuja for Kaduna was attacked. Now, within that, before that period, there was no significant inroad of taking the battle to the hideout of these bandits and terrorists within our boundaries with Niger State, Zamfara, and Katsina. But within the last 1 month, I can assure you, I can confirm to you, troops have made inroads into those enclaves, and they are also holding ground in the general area, denying the terrorists and bandits freedom of action. So I think they deserve our commendation, they deserve motivation. We are not living in denial. Once we see progress, we should be able to acknowledge the progress. And when you look at the impact on education, healthcare service delivery, social cohesion, food security, and rural economy, I think sustaining the gains that we are recording now is very important, and we are optimistic that the operations will continue and simultaneously in other frontline states.
Oh, thank you so much, Samuel Aruwan, Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Kaduna State. Let's move over to Zamfara State and then hear from Ibrahim Magaji Dosara, Commissioner for Information of the state. I'll pose the same question to you and then maybe get your perspective of the gains being talked about, so much talked about now, and how so far, I must add, is Zamfara State compared to weeks and months in the past. Tell us more. What's the sense of the gains made, if there are any anyway?
Okay, good morning, Nigerians. I'm very glad to inform Nigerians that there is progress in Zamfara State, for the fact that northern Zamfara is relatively peaceful, and what we have is the southern Zamfara that we have the trouble areas. But I can confirm to you that Maradun, Birnin Magaji, Shinkafi, Zurmi, Sate are relatively peaceful. These are the areas that form part of northern Zamfara State. But areas of Dans Adao, Anka, Gumi, Bukwi, Maru are relatively not peaceful, as we do have a kind of guerrilla war with the bandits in the areas. We have 3 major forests in Zamfara State that housed the bandits. We have the area we call Monhai, which borders most of these states, Kaduna, Niger, Sokoto, Kebbi, and this forest is the one that housed predominantly the bandits we have in this part of the country. And most of these people have another forest that they serve as transit, where whatever cattle they rustled, whatever people they kidnap, they move to that forest. And this forest is called Gando Forest. The Gando Forest is bordering Gumi, Anka, Bukwim, and parts of Biriningari, and then link with the Mohai forest, which is the main forest for the bandits. And this is where the military is now striking very seriously, especially the air components that started the operations from Kaduna State towards this part of Zamfara, where the bandits are predominantly staying now. But like I said earlier, in the northern part of Zamfara State, we are relatively peaceful in Zamfara State. But the measures we have put in place have significantly contributed in making the success and the progress we have in Zamfara State. We are very glad to tell the public that, one, the security measures we have taken to recruit 9,500 security watch or community protection guards have significantly contributed. They have been helping the security agencies to work day and night to ensure that communities are protected, bandits are prevented from attacking the communities. And two, the other measure we have taken, where we said there is this intelligence gathering committee, has seriously also helped, where we are getting a lot of information about the bandits' movement, their enclaves, their activities, and so on. And we relate to the security, and they quickly take action, and it is seriously paid, because all the movements of the bandits are being observed and noticed, and the security are following them wherever they move. And we have also a standing committee, security standing committee, which we recently established, that is working in collaboration with the communities, in collaboration with the security, to ensure that no mayhem is inflicted on communities. And also there is the prosecution committee which we have established, and this prosecution committee is following any arrests that is made by the police or the security, community protection guard, to ensure that those arrested are prosecuted according to the offense they have committed, and based on the constitutional provision and the executive order signed by His Excellency the Executive Governor. So I concur with my co-participants that there is progress, but it's still not yet Uhuru.
All right. Thank you very much, Ibrahim Magaji Dosara, for the information that you have provided. We'll come back to you, of course, in the course of this conversation. There are a number of points that we would like you to elaborate on. But back to the studios here, Gerard, John Temlong, you've listened to the shall I say, the sit rep, as you would say, in the military. Sit rep, meaning situational report from the commissioner in Kaduna, as well as the commissioner from Zamfara. Two highly impacted states, and earlier Kabir Adamu had provided a foreground for us to actually evaluate what we are witnessing. I pose the same initial question to you. Is this a season of uneasy calm, or we are actually now decimating the bandits and all those who have made us almost uncomfortable in recent months?
Well, thank you very much, Kingsley. I think from a professional point of view, I would say that the military has, the security forces and the country are gradually moving to the all of government and all of society approach that we've been advocating for dealing with this situation. You can see that after the commander-in-chief's marching orders to them, what has happened is that asymmetric warfare is an intelligence-driven warfare, and that intelligence actually comes from the citizens. And you could see that intelligence coming out from the marketplaces, from the forests, from the farmlands and the rest, and the terrorists are being isolated, and that gives an easy target for the military to decimate them without collateral damage. And you know, the other thing that we want to do is that because you are fighting within your own country and you want to avoid as much collateral damage as possible, so you don't want to hit innocent civilians and the rest. So you can find out that even at the fringes of the Lake Chad, you will see a lot of the terrorist commanders. I think about 5 or so were eliminated in just about a day or two ago, with scores of them. And you have, it's becoming so hot for them that you have droves of them now surrendering, and that poses a lot of humanitarian problem too. And so it goes to say that they are taking the fight to them. What is happening in Kaduna and Zamfara too, it's quite instructive. But what I want to think is that the governments of those states need to do more, because we're talking about an all-of-government approach. If you hear the narrative from the Zamfara State Commissioner, he is telling you that the states that are bordering, the local governments that are bordering Kaduna and Niger states are where they are moving and the rest. I think there needs more synergy. I tell you, when I was Commander 23 Armored Brigade in Yola, the Northeast governors, we had a meeting, we had a set of meetings that we used to coordinate. The governors will come in, the military commanders and the police will come in, and the SSS, all will sit down and look at the security situation in the whole of the Northeast zone, because these people cross from state to state. And so you need to come up with a plan that tackles, if they cross over to another state, how do you deal with them? And I think it is against that background that multinational joint task force was established. So you don't hit in Nigeria and run to Cameroon, or you hit in Cameroon and run to Nigeria and Chad. I think this should be done more within this country. We need to see the governors of Zamfara, Kaduna, Niger, Sokoto, Katsina coming together with all the security commanders, discussing the situations in their areas, and see how the military or the security people will come up with plans to deal with those things, so that these people do not move from point A to B. You say the Russell Castle in Zamfara, they move to Niger. And then when they're in Niger, it's not written on them that they are terrorists or rustlers or bandits or anything. It's just that they are just moving in the bush. So we need synergy, and we need that these governors, you see, the all-of-government approach will include even the tiers of government, not just at the federal level, so that they work in synergy with the security agencies to be able to handle the situations. And once you're able to isolate them, it's easier for the military or the security forces to take them off. But the important thing is that you must get intelligence, you must isolate them. And I've said it time and over again that they don't live off the ground. Whether they're in the forest or anywhere, they come back to buy food. They come back to buy fuel. They come back to buy parts for their machines. They come back to buy medications. They come back to buy drugs, or people supply them. So these are veritable ways of gaining intelligence on them. And so we must be able to get this thing. They spend so much money on intelligence, and we should spend more. In fact, we don't really need to spend more. But if our citizens are patriotic, then the citizens must take up. That's the all of society approach now. Because once the citizens are patriotic, citizens will be able to make concerted efforts to find out where they are, their habits, where they are buying foods from, who they are, and the rest, and make these reports. And this will be translated into credible, actionable intelligence that will lead to their decimation. And I think what we are doing now is we're getting there. You could see it's part of that all of government approach that you found that the ministers came together to give that conference, at least to reassure the citizens and the country that they are working in synergy, they are working together. But I think they need to up it more. We need not to drop our guns. The problem with the terrorist is that he has all the time in this war. So if you give him respite, he will rebuild and regroup. So there should be no resting for them, no respite at all. We should continue hitting at them hard and hard. And once you do that, the citizens will be more reassured in the way that they will continue to be sending credible information and intelligence that you need to hit them.
No, Gerald, please repeat that again. I think that is very significant because that's why I asked earlier, is this an easy calm? Can we sing the victory song at this time? But what you're saying now is particularly important. I believe so.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is that the security forces must not relent. They should press on the fight. And this will give the citizens a reassurance that something is being done. Whatever intelligence information they are giving, there is a credible response. And that way they will volunteer information themselves, because once there's a credible response and they are seeing results, they will do that. And that will enhance the all of society approach that we're talking about. So there should be no respite at all. They should be pressed on the fight. They should fight on, fight on, fight on. And the citizens must come on to support them, give as much as credible information as possible. The terrorist does not want a situation where he is being hit and punished every day. No. He will melt in, but even when they melt into the society, pick them up and bring them up because they know them. And so this thing, because they have all the time. As long as the terrorist wants to hit any target, you could see that Kuje prisons had been planned for a very long time. Example is 9/11. It took about how many years before they hit the Twin Towers? Years. The terrorist has all the time at his disposal. He will plan, he will wait until you drop your guard, then he will hit you hard. So we shouldn't allow him at all. What we should is that he should be on the run until he is able to give up. There should be no question of any surrender now. Is take the fight to them. As long as they are fighting, fight them. As long as they are hitting citizens here, fight them.
Just like the president said, and insisting on that very much in order, take the fight to them and then speak to them in the language they understand. Ibrahim Dosara, I would want you to really react to some of these issues raised by, Major General, rather Brigadier General Temlong. He specifically mentioned his, when he was in Yola as a brigade commander, and of course how they used to meet, and that maybe evolved into what is called the multinational joint task force, as it were. And of course he was the first commander of that very multinational task force, joint task force. Now, if these bandits operate along Niger, Zamfara, Kaduna axis, and once you hit them in one forest, they run to the other forest, Russell cattle are moving. And the second item is, of course, as they move too, they become, in need of certain requirements, which forces them to go into the cities and towns and then get them by force or by whichever way. Now, have your government, rather, Zamfara State government, I must say, contemplated, or is it really doing that, talking about, meeting the governors, or the governors meeting Niger, Kaduna, Zamfara, and some other states that are, having this problem, meeting and then saying, okay, I'm in this association. We are now here, and I'm hitting them in Zamfara state. They are moving down to Niger state. What do we do? How do we get them? I mean, this kind of approach, so that as they move, they are being attacked, and as they keep on moving, they are being attacked always. You remember what happened in around the Chad area this time around, about 2-3 days ago, when they were really attacked, and of course they started running all over the place. It started even to the US and whatever, in Kondo, Gabama, and some areas, and they got drowned. These are the kind of things that should be sustained, as we talk about it this morning, sustaining the gains of the fight against insecurity. Dosara?
Yes, if Nigerians to recall, at the early 20s, His Excellency governmentally initiated such joint ideas where they meet and discuss security issues and how to deal with them within the northwestern states. But either by commission or omission, there was a kind of differences in ideology with the governors, and that system was not implemented properly. But notwithstanding, His Excellency has been consulting with the governors, the neighboring governors, about ways and strategies they follow to deal with the insecurity. And he is also in consultation with high security commands, taking their advice and also implementing their suggestions to ensure that the security problem is dealt with. Like I told you, that Munhai forest, which joined the states, is a very large and thick forest. In fact, I can call it Sambisa of the northwestern states. That area is a terrible area for the states, and unless that area is dealt with squarely using air and land components of the military, this problem will continue to exist. So the idea of coming together is being implemented, but not in the way it's supposed to be, because the governors are having different ideologies on the fight against the bandits. That's one problem. The other problem is the issue of conflict entrepreneurs, which we must deal with. You have to examine, how do these bandits get their weapons? How? You have to block the ways of getting weapons to the bandits. And secondly, how do they get their daily needs supplies, ranging from food, ranging from alcohol and other dangerous drugs they get, which make them crazy and start killing people. You have to block all these doors to ensure that the whole issue of banditry is dealt with in this area. But no matter how the governors come together, no matter how they strategize, if the doors of getting the weapons and the conflict entrepreneurs are not dealt with, this problem, I'm sorry, will persist.
Okay, Dosara, thank you very much for the comments that you have raised. The issue of conflict entrepreneurs is one we will deal with in the course of this conversation. But let's bring in again Samuel Aruwa, the Honorable Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs in Kaduna State. Honorable Aruwa, if you can hear me, I would like you to also comment on the level of intergovernmental cooperation that our guests have spoken of with regard to dealing with the consequences of the dispersal of the criminal elements, bandits, terrorists, because as the security forces hit them in Kaduna and Zamfara elsewhere, chances are that they will disperse elsewhere to other contiguous states. So Zamfara, you heard the commissioner say a while ago that he was talking about differences in ideology. I'm not quite sure we can find a synonym for the word ideology, but what he seems to be saying is that there's very little cooperation amongst the states. So how can this be overcome? That's one. But link that up, for instance, with citizen cooperation. How much citizen cooperation has been galvanized? Because it was embarrassing some months ago when some states, including Katsina, for instance, placed an embargo on movements as well as shutting down petrol stations, and we found that civil defense officers were arresting women who were carrying petrol and other supplies in all kinds of receptacles, including bags that are normally used, jute bags that are normally used for rice, and so on and so forth. So in Kaduna, for instance, how much citizen cooperation are you getting, and how sustainable is that, and what can be done to ramp up intergovernmental collaboration?
Well, thank you very much. I will not want to, I don't want it to look like I am trying to disagree with my senior colleague, Dosara, but I think I should make this clarification. There is a standing committee of what we call frontline states that are affected with this banditry and terrorism. And all our governors are part of this standing committee. And the representatives of the governors, talking about commissioners of security from Zamfara, Sokoto, Kaduna, Niger, and special advisors on security from Katsina, Kano, and Jigawa are part of this standing committee. This committee meets regularly. We do peer review, we meet physically, apart from the fact that there is a platform which we communicate 24/7. I think I should make this proper for you to know. The Commissioner of Security and Home Affairs in Zamfara State is a member of that standing committee. What do? We share intelligence. We do a lot of peer review. Added to that, there is another standing committee that comprises heads of security agencies in the front line states, the commissioners of police, the director of state security, the garrison commanders, that is on the side of the army, and the same thing on the side of Air Force, because we have two divisions in the northwest and Niger State in north central. One division in Kaduna covered Kaduna, Niger, Kano, and Jigawa, while the 8th division in Sokoto covers Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, and also and Katsina State. So we are not working in different fronts. We are working together. We are interacting together. It may interest you to know. Last week, an ex-soldier who was ferrying arms and ammunition from Nasarawa was intercepted along Kaduna Abuja roads. That was as a result of our synergy that we have on the ground. Yes, we have differences. I think some of the differences that we have is around the area of saying we are going to sit with bandits, we are going to negotiate with them. That is the area that we are having differences. But in the general note, we have standing interaction where we are exchanging information. I feel I should say this so that I will put the record straight. Now, coming back to the issue that you are talking about, what are we doing in order to mobilize citizens' engagement or citizens' involvement? We are doing a lot of things. For security reasons, I will not be able to talk about the local security architecture that we have put on the ground in some of the frontline areas in Kaduna State, because we wouldn't want to compromise security and safety of our locals who are involved in this. But I want you to know that we have a strong security participatory engagement with critical stakeholders across the state. And I also want to make it, I also want you to know that if you look at the movement of bandit or terrorists, we have a lot of boundaries that connected our people. Those that live in Niger within the Shiroro, up to Kusasu, up to Kabrasha, up to Galbida, this Kaduna State. These bandits are very mobile. They are highly mobile. So we have a mechanism on the ground that involves security agencies and government getting information about their movement. But like I said, for some reasons, I will not be able to say more about it. But the long and short of what I'm trying to say here is this. There is indeed cooperation. We have gone beyond the issue of mobilizing locals into the security architecture. what we are also looking at is the relocation of some of these terrorists who are relocating to the Northwest. And I also want you to know that the Northwest, if you add Niger State, is almost half of the country in terms of land mass. Niger State is about 76,000 square kilometers. Kaduna is 46,000 square kilometers. Zamfara, Katsina, Kano, Jigawa, and Sokoto, we are also talking of over 200,000 square kilometers. We have large extents of land that are ungoverned, or we call the ungoverned space. You also have to look at the short of personnel. You know, Benugari local government, for instance, is over 6,000 square kilometers, almost twice bigger than Lagos, almost the same size with Abia. Now, do you have the manpower? Do you have the boots on the ground that can cover all this? No. You also have to look at the issue of the weather. We are in the peak, of rainy season. There are indeed a lot of limitations, but then we are doing our best. So the governors of the affected state, the commissioners of security in the affected state, the military too, the military, the police, the secret police, and the convention, and the police within the Northwest and Niger State are working hand in hand. And then, like I said, we do have physical meeting where commissioners of police, director of state security meet. As I speak at the moment, there is an ongoing review meeting that is taking place in one of the states that I will not mention. And that review meeting is at the instance of one of the lead agencies, in intelligence gathering. They are meeting and they are doing a lot. And you should also remember, there are many times that governors of the affected state have been in touch with the presidency. There is a lot of communication between the affected states and the Office of National Security Advisor, Office of the Chief of Defense Staff, Office of the Chief of Defense Intelligence, Office of the Inspector General of Police, Office of the Director General of the DSS. So we are doing a lot. But what I want you to know is this. What we are dealing with is an accumulation of problems that have developed over time and that we need to do hard. And I agree with you that sustaining this battle is very important.
Speaking about this morning, Commissioner, sustaining the gains, right?
Our national.
Yeah, we're talking about sustaining the gains, really, as you earlier enumerated, and of course the points have been made there. Why it is yes and no on a softer scale, talking about the meetings of the governors intergovernmental cooperation from between Kaduna and Zamfara State. And let's hear from Kabiru Adamu. I mean, the issues have been raised now. It's about taking this fight to these bandits and terrorists. It's about sustaining the little gains made so far. And these are the efforts being put forward by the Zamfara and Kaduna states. And of course, there are some much more efforts in other states, I must say. Looking at this issue of intergovernmental cooperation, and then public participation in the intelligence gathering and supporting the army and those fighting the bandits, vis-a-vis the company entrepreneurs who may not be part of these high-level talks or part of the public, but they are still Nigerians, and some of them are maybe outside Nigeria, and trying to keep this thing and sustain their own their own fight on Nigerians while Nigerians try to sustain, fight against them. In this regard, what exactly do you think should be done in trying to get this puzzle solved, looking at the gains made and moving forward?
Thank you, Nadabo. I would mention one word twice. Intelligence.
We've been talking about that every time you are here.
Exactly.
I can't escape you saying that.
Exactly. Intelligence would demystify what is currently mysterious. We are talking about conflict entrepreneurs. They are not ghosts.
Yeah.
They exist among us. Mm-hmm. Some of them, unfortunately, just like one of the commissioners mentioned, is actually an ex-serviceman who was ferrying weapons from one state to the other to give, I mean, I can say with all confidence, and this is the research that we conducted in my consultancy, the weapon gun running channels that exist in the country are mostly manned by ex-servicemen. So let's start with the beginning. Do we even have a data of ex-servicemen in this country? Unfortunately, no, and General can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe the military has, but I doubt even if the military's data is comprehensive. By that, I mean, do we know where they are at the moment? Do we know what professions they're doing? Remember, they've been trained in weapon handling. They've been trained in certain components of tactics of warfare, as well as the one that worries me, sabotage. Because if you are trained and you understand defense, national defense and national security, it's very easy for you to turn that into working against the state. So if we don't know where they are and if we don't engage them like other countries do, it will be very easy for our adversaries to engage them. Now that is where intelligence comes in. We have for the passive intelligence, which seeks data and presents it to the policymaker in a manner that will be useful to the state. Then we have the one that counters the adversary, which you can give it different names: counter intelligence, counter espionage, and all that. How active are we currently in practicing these two components of intelligence? Unfortunately, I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done, even at the federal level and then at the subnational level. How many of, I know, and I must comment, places like Kaduna State that have a functional ministry on homeland security. Apart from that, the Kaduna State has embraced data. They are able to gather data, analyze that data, and present it to Nigerians. That shows progress. It also shows where there is no progress. So we know, for instance, that at least 3 local governments have been identified where there hasn't been significant progress, just like the Honorable Commissioner.
I'm not cutting you short here. I'm just trying, before we go on break, because I've been pressed for break time now. You mentioned data, you mentioned ex-servicemen, who they are, where they are, not that their numbers are not there, but what they do for a living and how are they surviving. So it's an easy catch for the terrorists and the bandits if they are being left alone. Coupled to the fact also of the fact that, the pension scheme in this country is one thing to talk about too. They are easy prey. Now, if you've been asked to suggest, what would you say about the data and the ex-servicemen and what should be done?
We should immediately begin compiling the data on the retired, dismissed, and whatever security personnel that are currently in the country and outside the country. What are they into? In other countries, think tanks are created, because if you leave them, frankly, they would find, either they find something to do for themselves or the adversary would engage them. So we need to engage them actively. Create think tanks. As an example, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies is an example of that. I think the Alumni Association of that the General was once headed is another example of that.
Any resources?
So things like that. Engage them in a functional manner. They are trained and they have the capacity. Why I brought that up, it's a component of intelligence, because data, and the last point I wanted to mention was the cyberspace. Today's world, we have evolved beyond even the physical space where we coexist at the moment. The cyberspace is being used by the adversary. How do they train their members on how to couple IEDs? Most of it is in the cyberspace. So we also need to enhance our capacity, and that brings me to the last point, the point of the Ministry of Digital Economy. We are yet to incorporate that ministry into the national security architecture. You are living witnesses that a few weeks ago, the minister, in a public statement, said the security agencies are not harvesting the intelligence that exists within his ministry. So we have to find a way. I'm not sure of the solution at the moment. We could create a separate department and hand it over to the military as a neutral body to ensure the protection of the information that would come from our harvesting of data within the cyberspace. The reason why I mentioned the military is there is concern, because if you harvest data especially in a political setting like ours, it could be used against to achieve political purpose. So we have to find a neutral body, and that's why I'm suggesting the military as one of the most neutral bodies that we have in the country at the moment.
Dr. Kabir Adamu, thank you very much for the points that you have raised, and happily General Item Long is here. I should say this before we go to short break, Nadabo. It must have been a couple of years ago. When we talk about ex-service personnel, I want to also include the police, particularly those of the mobile police force unit. There were instances where you had rapid dismissal of those officers, and I had asked the question on Good Morning Nigeria to say, look, if you have trained these persons in weapons handling and they have been field officers, in other words, they've been engaged in operation, and disciplinary measures are taken and they are summarily dismissed, what happens to them when they are out there in society? Now, you can see the elaboration of that in what Dr. Kabir Adamu has said. If you picked up, if the security forces picked up an ex-service personnel who's a gun runner for the bandits and terrorists, what more could others be doing? I know that, Jonathan, you will probably just speak to this briefly when we return. A department for ex-service personnel have been created amongst the military. I'm not quite sure who is in charge now, but what is it? What kind of data are they gathering? Who is where? What are they doing? And this ought to be spread nationally. Nationally, it's not something you headquarter in Abuja, and from Abuja you are sending your people to go and find out what's happening in Guso or what's happening in Gombe and elsewhere. And I think that's a very critical issue. How many ex-service personnel do we have? These are persons who are experts in violence and the management of violence.
Even in today's world, tracking them is an easy thing to do. Just like the minister said, the security operators are not tapping so much with the ministry, from the ministry, what they are supposed to type in order to get, information and use in the cyberspace.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're watching Good Morning Nigeria. We will now take a break, and then when we come back, we continue the discussion on sustaining the gains of, the fight against insecurity. Stay with us.
Every morning is an opportunity to take your hustle to the next level. Every morning is one day closer to your ambition. So, make every morning count. Cup after cup, morning after morning. Start strong, finish strong. Nescafe.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. The resorts to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
When you come, you say you know they fit well. How your body now?
After go clinic, go do test. I get malaria. After begin take my malaria medicine, I come begin well. I didn't even finish the medicine sef. I say make I save the rest of the medicine for another time. Mama put, wetin be this now?
Na the saving technique wey you no take finish your medicine, man say make I use for you. So that when you go, come back, when the tongue don't catch you well, you come back and chop the food.
Mama put, see, which is the way you give me so. Better hunger go come wire my belly.
If you no treat that malaria, if it's come plenty for your body, now you see that medicine wey you save, you no come reach to treat them.
I don't share. Thanks, Mama. I receive sense, so I go do am correct now.
If I'm a sign of plenty different diseases, plus including malaria.
To test. If na malaria, then go give you correct medicine. If no be malaria, go your health worker go tell you what to do.
Now, Federal Ministry of Health and American people then bring on this message.
Our pastors, our imams, in every church, in every mosque, please realize that in the course of praying for peaceful and transparent elections, we all have duties beyond prayers. If we want a stable society before, during, and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure peace all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
All right, you're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria. We're live on NTA's network service, broadcasting from our Abuja headquarters studios. All our four guests are still with us. Commissioner for Information, Zamfara. Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs for Kaduna, both of them via Zoom, and two of our regular security analysts, Dr. Kabir Adamu, as well as Brigadier General John Temlong. General Temlong, one of the issues on the table right now has to do with how to further tame the menace, if you may, of conflict entrepreneurs. Conflict entrepreneurs important in terms of supply of illegal personnel. That's to say, recruitment of the personnel who will carry out these acts of banditry or cattle rustling. They're also important in terms of financing. Then they are, of course, also important in terms of access to weaponry. And one of the aspects that Dr. Kabir Adamu raised has to do with the role of ex-service personnel. Have we given sufficient consideration to this? And if we haven't, is it time to begin to look more closely into that category of persons? This is not a general law on ex-service personnel. They've served the country, but there are some loose cannons amongst them.
Well, thank you very much, Kingsley. I think this is one of the most important issues that has been burning some of us, the senior retired persons. It appears Nigeria is being penny wise and pound foolish. There's a lot of intellectual properties out there reposited in the retired personnel. A lot of them have combat experience, having served in ECOMOG, having served in the multinational joint task force. Some, even the Civil War veterans are still out there. A lot of them are better trained because they trained even the crop of officers, because some of them trained in about 5-7 countries abroad. Some of us, the present crop, but have not gone to that. They don't have that opportunity. Now, there is what military came up with, so the government came up with, called Security Debarment Allowance, SDA. security department allowance and reward is primarily meant for the government to hold that intellectual property that has been deposited in you, that you will not use it against the state. It becomes a government property. So the training that you have given me, that I cannot use it against the state. The state will hold me responsible. So the state buys it from me and allow me only to use it for the good of the state. Now, you found out that there are some agitations here and there that they are not paid, people are all these things. But I think this is one of the ways that government can term this distribution of knowledge that is out there in the ex-servicemen, that you must pay them the security department allowance, buy off this intellectual property that you have spent taxpayers' money to train us, so that we will not use it against government. And if you do, because there will be a law, if you do it, you have infringed certain things because it's already a government property. So you cannot do it. So you are cutting one source from them. So even the training of the terrorists, supplying them information and supplying them even the weapons and the rest. Because you'll be surprised, how are these people using a lot of these sophisticated weapons, stripping them, assembling them and the rest? Somebody out there might have had some knowledge to train them on it. You just don't just buy a machine gun and know how to strip it. You don't buy an AK-47 and know how to strip it.
I'm not cutting you short here, but I just want you to make further clarification on the security department allowance.
Yes.
In Nigeria.
Yes. This is an international thing, not even Nigeria.
Let's come back home. We're talking about issues that affect us seriously.
Yes.
The ex-servicemen, Nigerian Legion, and some other forces all over. They have retired, whose intellectual capacity, intellectual skills should be harnessed and brought over, used for the security of the state.
Exactly.
Is that happening?
No, it's not, because that's what is the problem now. Some people have been given, some have not. So what we are saying, it should be across the board so that it will be pound wise and penny foolish.
Who are the ones given and who are not?
It's the government. The government, I think they started from 2017. Those who are retiring to that time are doing, but those before 2017 have not been paid, and they are more in number. So it meant then the government must harvest and harness this intellectual property, which they spend so much taxpayers' money in training, and they have so much experience out there in the field in dealing with these sort of situations, either within or outside the country, to stop those things. Once you do that, you have some work to catch somebody. And two, in the defense reform, we recommended that the Veteran Affairs Department should be aggregated to a whole department in the Ministry of Defense. And these are part of the things they're supposed to be doing. The Ministry of Defense, there is already what it is now, is a small department under the Director Joint Service. But it's supposed to be, because in abroad, in the US, is a whole minister in charge. Yes, everything about. So you have data, their hospitals, their management, everything are kept. And the specialization, where you know who to plug. Yes, when you need certain things,
not doing that.
Yes, you need who to plug, you need who to take, who to guys, come here, do this, do this, do this. So it's a complete setup that you have. So it's a ministry, almost a ministry in itself, in Pentagon with a minister. Now you need to upgrade our own even to a department level here. This was recommended by the Reforms Committee. And so that should be done, because we are moving dangerously into a situation that the crop of young men that are living now, they are less patriotic than we. Because we had our own training right from youth. We were trained to be patriotic. We started building the spirit of nationalism before independence. Now you're having a crop of people who are now coming with the Yahoo situation. And as far as they're concerned, anything goes. Anything else is money. Whether it's good or bad. And so when this crop comes now and take over from those of us who will extinct, then you are going to have more serious security problems in this country. So they need to be tamed. They need to be tamed.
General Temlong, Kabir Adamu, and then our two commissioners who are still with us for this conversation. We want to thank you for the perspective that you brought on. Obviously, there are many more ramifications to deal with. And just to say that the security debarment allowance will be, it's something what about the equivalent in common law will be what we call restraint of trade. Mm-hmm. Restraint of trade is a contractual agreement whereby an individual will say, yes, I will not carry on a certain business. For instance, if you are employed, I'm just giving it as a restraint of trade, it's part of the contract. If you are employed by, say, Coca-Cola, in the sensitive position, in the high position, there will be a clause that says that if you leave Coca-Cola, you will not go and work with a competitor, such as Pepsi Cola.
Exactly.
So that's what we call in law, and it's enforceable in a contract. Exactly. To say it's called restraint of trade. That's probably the equivalent of this security debarment allowance. And I think that General Temlon put it, say that, look, the intellectual property, it's not just intellectual property, the skill that you have, the knowledge that you have, you will not, which the state invested in. It belongs to the state. Well, it belongs to the state. The state has invested in you, but now when you exit service, you will not use those same talent and skill against the state. And so you get this security debarment allowance from time to time. And these are issues that we should continue to ride on. And I believe that we're going to have a follow-up conversation on this issue. The commissioner in Zamfara, very quickly, if you're there, Tosara, tell us, well, we don't, let's not get into the issue of intergovernmental cooperation, but we know that the message is out there that all the states would need to collaborate, and they will need to collaborate not just at the level of members of the Executive Council, but more importantly at the level of the executive governors of those states. But how much of an impact has the governor's call to arms been in terms of reducing insecurity in the state? Because we had a conversation on this subject matter where the governor said, look, research yourself up, arm yourself, when you see the bandits, take them down. Is that working? Or the military and other security agencies have ensured that of course, doesn't become the situation in Zamfara?
Well, that issue has become security, which should not be discussed on media. We leave it within ourselves, and we are dealing with it on the legal manner. So, and one thing I just want to add is there is a kind of community-initiated dialogue, which is working perfectly as I'm talking to you. Various emirates came up with a dialogue where they sit with the bandits and they discussed on peace process, and many of them are now surrendering their arms, and they are living in peace with the members of the communities. So that's it. But the issue of having legitimate weapons, we have already taken decision on that, and we are forging ahead, and we will not disclose the stage we are now on media. It is something secret now.
All right, thank you so much, Ibrahim Dosera. We're pressed for time now. We should round it up, but all the same, I want to hear from Samuel Aruwan, maybe in 60 seconds. Looking at the gains made so far, as you've already pointed out, and the sustenance of these gains so far made. Give us maybe in your own few words, what do you think Kaduna State must do in order to support the army, and then those fighting with only the army in trying to get this again consolidated and improved upon, and then maybe work towards 2023. Don't forget, campaigns will soon start, and of course elections are by the corner, and all of your politicians, you'd want to go around and talk to the people and get them to vote. This situation must not continue to the time, really.
Well, I am not aware that you have removed me in your list of media practitioners, but all the same, I quite agree with you. Anyway, Kaduna State government has a good relationship with security agencies that are operating in the state. It may also interest you to know that this is the headquarters. This is the premier base of Nigerian military. So we have a very good cordial relationship with them, and we are speaking with them. I will not go into details as to what we are doing on how to sustain the ongoing operations. But I like you to know that we are working very hard, and by the special grace of God, we will sustain the ongoing operation.
Okay, thank you so very much, Samuel Ruwan, Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Kaduna State. It's a pleasure to be part of the discussion this morning. Major General, I'm just from this Major General anyway, sorry about that. Brigadier General John Temlam, first commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force, former president of the Alumni Association of the National Defense College and security consultant, we thank you so much. We would really want to have given you a little moment to talk about, give us your party shot, but all the same, I think we should come back here tomorrow, God willing, to discuss much more about this.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kabir Adamu, it's our pleasure too. At least we hope you'll be here to give tomorrow, talk about much more about it.
If you
want to really get the perspectives, Kingsley, of people from Borno, Niger, and even Nasarawa states.
That's right. It's a very important issue. The more I know that's we can't beat our chest, but that's the reason why Good Morning Nigeria is a flagship program and the obvious market leader on the morning show. We'd like to thank also the two commissioners who've been with us via Zoom this morning. Samuel Aruwan is in charge of internal security and home affairs in Kaduna State. Thanks a lot for being with us. You're still one of us, and I'm sure at the end of your tour of duty, you'll return to the pen profession.
But that will not stop him from going on campaigns.
No, it won't. That's his business. By the way, Ibrahim Magaji Dosara, Commissioner for Information, Zamfara State. Thank you very much. I'm happy to hear, as you said earlier, that some places are a bit quiet now, including a place called Zurmi. I used to be in love with that name, and I'm still in love with it. Zurmi. So say hello to them there in Zurmi and elsewhere in Zamfara. So that's it for us on Good Morning Nigeria today. Deep thanks for tuning in. Join us again tomorrow for a fresh package, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I'm Yusuf Merabuso. See you again.
Latest entrant, latest technology. Welcome to Intel 4G LTE Advanced and experience super fast internet access today. Visit intel.com.ng or any of our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt to get started. Intel. More.
If you get to see the way telling about the post this, don't forget to send in your messages.
There's a difference between picking, chow, and this.
That is the and do more with less people.
we have a better way of addressing these issues, taking care of.
Congratulations, you've been able to sign to move right now from Abuja to AT.
You take water before you walk out.
Like use that phone, use TikTok to do this, like a lot of people don't even have resources.
I'm Cecil, and this is the Medley Show on NTA.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The wise ones have said that man proposes, but God disposes. To some people, it's just a saying, but it's the truth. It's something that truly happens, and I've seen it happening. Welcome. This is Thoughts for the Week with me, Cordelia Ogbe. Now let's start off by, answering some of these questions. Do you have parents who maybe now have retired, have gone back to the village, maybe they're somewhere close to you, or your in-laws? You have? Now the next question is, how often do you reach out to them? How often do you care for them? Question. Think about that. There are people who believe that they do not owe their parents anything at all. That after all, did I beg you to call me from heaven? I was staying on Mount JJ when you gave birth to me. Sending them to school, doing this and that. It's something you ought to have done for them because you fathered them or mothered them, so they have come to believe, so they have come to say. But our elders, are they very happy with this? Not so. Let me share a story with you that our elders shared with us. The story of the woodpecker. The woodpecker is a bird that digs very well into wood and all that. It digs very well. At a point, the old mother had wanted to see him. Oh, I'll see her later, I'll see her later, I'll see her later. He kept saying that, procrastinating. And then the woodpecker had this very beautiful plan that whenever the old mother dies, he was going to dig a very beautiful grave for the mother using his very powerful beak. And alas, the mother died. And the woodpecker, on that very day of the burial, had a big ball on his beak. And so, the woodpecker could not do what he had dreamt of doing, digging a big grave for the mother. Our elders say, if your relation is dancing well in an arena, but you do not have money to doll on him, your hearty cheers would do. Put simply, you may not have much to give to your parents right now, but your encouragement, talking to them, talking with them, visiting them when you can, would go a long way. It will be like you are cheering them on for all the work they've done. We've come to see that in this region, and maybe other parts of the world, I don't know about them, I'll speak about this region. You'll find that when somebody dies, an old man, woman dies, you find everybody rallying around the children trying to raise money to do what? To go and modify their home house, or to try and build a house before they can bury their loved ones. That can be very painful, especially maybe when they were alive, you didn't do anything at all for them. Now let me share some of these quotes with you. To care for those who were cared for you is one of the highest honors. Parents, they didn't leave you when you were young, so don't leave them when they are old. thoughts for the week. Are you one of those who believe that your parents, you do not owe them anything when they become old and all retired because they did what they had to do for you because they gave birth to you and so on? Till I come your way again, do think about these things and remember that what goes around comes around. My name is Cordelia Obe. Take care.
Hello, always wonderful to be with you on this particular platform, The Conversation, because the truth is this place will look at what is happening around the society, community, country, globally, and we pick on one or two of them, we masticate it, and we also, very importantly, ensure that we proper solutions. Now, that does not give us spirit of entitlement to just walk into your home. Yes, I've just told you the topic. Spirit of entitlement. So I'll just tell you that it's my pleasure to have you welcome me in your home, in your office, wherever you're watching. My name is Elizabeth Amare and the show is Conversations. And we have all the ladies dressed up, looking beautiful and ready to talk. Coach Didi.
Yes. Good morning. My name is Maimuna Omi Abdullah, Coach Didi.
Okay.
My name is Deva Hamatiyomom, and it's good to be here this morning.
Good morning. My name is Joe Kanachi. It's always good to be on Conversations.
All right. When I sent out the promos to you, I was nice and very particular in saying it will be my pleasure to have you. As much as I know that I can tell you, you have to come. Because I didn't want you to say you're sending something and you're doing a different thing. Spirit of entitlement. I don't know if you've had the experience before, but one particular one that hit me is a bit of what you saw in the promo. Somebody who was begging for money and money was given to him and he felt it wasn't good enough and he threw it away. But before we get out there, let's get to find out if other people have experienced this. Then we come back and talk.
Generally, I think nobody should feel entitled to anybody's time, money, or influence, or maybe attachments, because we live in a very crazy world and things are not like it used to be before. So normally before, people want to help you just because they can, or they just want to help you just because they feel sympathy for you. But now things are becoming too hard, even for the big men or even for the big shots. It's becoming too hard for them to.
Somebody to me for a need is simply asking for help and not the right. And whatsoever is within my power to give to that person, I will give.
Sometimes you don't even know what the person went through to put that thing in place. So now say you are entitled to it, or how people used to feel entitled to someone's money, like my uncle should give me this. You don't know the stress the person went through, and the person have other responsibilities too.
I see the person as not being understanding, trying to collect what you have in this kind of economical situation. It's not right. As I see it as not what is proper at all.
Sometimes, if they think that they are entitled to your things, let me not be every time. Yes, some people, they are your relation or your son or your any brother or so. You just try to explain to them that yes, I can give you something, and sometimes don't just say that you are entitled to do my thing. Maybe ask my consent first.
What I have is mine, so I don't think anybody is entitled to my own possession. if I wish to give anybody what I have, then you politely ask and I will give it to you. But you can't just force me to come to meet me without talking to me politely. I just say, can I have this? Can I have this? It's to my own wish to give you what I have. It is no one has right over what I have. It's mine and mine alone. So if I wish to give you freely, then I give. But not as if you start claiming as if you are one. Even my parents ask for things before they take from me. So nobody is entitled to what I have.
It's your money, but he has the authority to say, go and meet Mr. A to give you this. Take example of school fee. There are instances where one's daddy will ask maybe an extended relation, go and meet this because he knew you have the means. Go and tell him to give you this. He might have gone there to complain to him that, oh, I don't have this, and authoritatively he will tell the person, go and meet this, and that's an attachment to another person's resources. That's my own opinion, as it were. That it has been so for some time immemorial, but poverty and the economic situations today have made it more worse, as it were. As it were.
That we have moved from a certain, pedestal. Instead of going up, we're actually going down. I don't know, depends on where you're looking at it from. We used to condemn spirit of begging.
Yeah.
That is not our culture. Now we are begging with authority. That's the spirit of entitlement. We're begging with arrogance. You give somebody money out of your pockets. Boss, I'm not going to go chop breakfast. It is gifts. The person sits in front of you and counts it. Those are the kind of people that actually take money from ATM and then they count it to confirm fees. You count money.
It's like I'm on auto. When you collect money from the teller, you stand there and count. So when I get money out of the ATM, it's just something I do automatically.
You start counting it.
I just start counting it.
You sure the machine will
start counting. I can't help it.
Sometimes some might be left.
No, actually, nothing is left, but it's just something I do on auto. I get my money, I stand by the side and start counting it. I can't help it.
Okay. Now, have you ever had this experience, where somebody calls you and say, please, auntie, I need money for ABCD, blah, blah. Sorry, I had to flash you. She actually flashed and you called and he explains to you. You send the money to the person, perhaps even buys recharge card for the person. You say thank you. If the person remembers to say thank you, the person will flash you back. Or flash you the second time and you call back. You say, auntie, sorry, I was just calling to say thank you. I got the recharge card. Isn't that mean?
You see, the scenario you're painting now, you're painting a scenario that they flashed you back. What of the scenario of them not calling you back?
I know you call and I say, okay, I got it too. Sorry, I will not tell you.
That's it. It keeps happening and happening. What drives me nuts is people don't tend to call you
until when they need something.
I always tell people that the way I'm wired, I will chat with you for like a month, because I have noticed that if you want something in December, you have to start working for it from January. So start the relationship, call the person up, greet the person. It's easier to ask. Even with that process, most of the time you're still rejected. So it saddens my heart where you give somebody something, and I've realized that they say, okay, please lend me this certain amount, and I've realized that there's no need lending them the money they asked for. Anything you have, give, and know that,
write it off.
That's it. And for me, it has worked, because lending people money,
it never comes back.
And you start having, and when you ask, they say, if I had it, I would have given back.
Honestly,
the attitude, the arrogance, the self-entitlement of people just says that after all, you ask people and they help you. Why would I ask you and you wouldn't help me?
That one is even better, sir. For a situation where somebody will say, she's rich, she doesn't need the money.
And that's where I think the problem comes from. Let me quickly share an experience I had. This happened to me when I had just started working with the NTA. There's this perception people have that because you appear on TV, you have money.
All air personality.
You're a bloody civil servant at the end of the day.
And let me just remind you, when you appear on air, you have less money because you're spending a lot of money on your clothes, on your hair, so there's nothing really left to save. So go ahead.
But I'm sorry, that's the perception you think. But for we that see you guys outside, we think that NTA funds you guys, so please don't blame people.
Anyway, I had just started working with NTA at the time. I served, was retained. At the time, my salary was something in the region of 3,000 naira. Which, even if you take it today, that would be that was 98. Now that would be like maybe 30,000 or 28,000. Something. It was stupid. It was stupid money. I mean, let's be frank. It was barely funding my transportation. I'll be very blunt. And somebody who was my teacher in secondary school came to Abuja and was in a bad place and came to look for me at NTA. This person didn't know that my entire salary for the month was 3,000 naira. And I didn't tell the person that this person was really, really in need. And he was kind to me when he was a teacher in secondary school. This person will never know that I ran around and begged and borrowed money from anybody I could get a hold of and got 5,000 naira.
Wow.
Put it together and gave it to this man, and he looked at it as if I gave him poop. I wanted to die. Because the man is not related to me. I'm talking secondary school, so this was a gap of like at least maybe some 7-8 years later. It wasn't somebody I was constantly in touch with, but I figured that for this man to come to me, he must be in a very, very bad state. This is something I don't do for myself. As a person, if I'm in need, I don't run around begging and borrowing. I manage myself. If I borrow it from very close relatives, I give you a date of when I'm going to pay you back. If that day is approaching and I don't have the money, I let you know in good time that I promised you I'll pay you this money at the end of the month. Something has happened. I will not be able to pay, but please give me another 2 weeks and I'll pay you back. I do not recall, there's nobody I know that I've borrowed money from with the intention of paying back that I haven't paid back. And if I'm not in a position to pay back, I tell you why. So that I put myself to great pains, ran around, begged, borrowed this money, put it together, gave it to this man with respect in an envelope, and he sneered when he collected that money. It was like I felt stabbed, but I didn't. What was I going to say?
Nothing.
I would have collected my money back. Collect your money back.
Unfortunately, the next person that is going to come to you
will suffer it.
No, I'm not like that.
Really?
I'm not like that. I take people on a case by case basis.
Fantastic.
I don't visit the sins of one person on another person. Oh, you did this. Emeka did this to me, so definitely Peter is going to bear the brunt of it. I don't live my life that way. But that was what that person did to me.
That's a good one.
It's sad because
it's just one of many instances. But this one really cut me deep because I practically humiliated myself to get money and give him. I don't do that for myself.
You know what angers me is we talk as if it's just happening within offices, within the larger society. Within the home, which is the smallest unit, the entitlement spirit is heavy. From the husband to the wife, from the wife to the husband, and from the parents to the children, children to parents. Everybody feels entitled. The man feels it's his right to wake up in the morning and not dress bed. It's his right to go and pee and not flush the toilet. It's his right to sit down on the table and food appears. At the end of the day, the woman complains. Both of you are possibly working, or the woman is a full-time housewife, whatever it is. What's wrong with helping out a little? And the man will tell you, I pay for your bills.
It's culture. It's basically
I pay the bills.
No, it's basically culture. And I think, you see, it's
culture.
Every person is made up of a mindset, and your mindset is governed by three things: your upbringing, your environment, and then significant emotional events that has happened to you.
What about your personality?
What's your culture? It's all, that's your mindset. Your personality is your mindset.
Okay.
So your upbringing is your culture. Your environment is also your culture. So, and the thing is, you've grown up in a certain environment, and this is the way things have been done. This is the way you grew up seeing it being done by your father, by your uncles, by everyone. And then you get married. Things have changed. You don't notice that. Now you probably marry a woman from a different environment, but you still expect that this is what my mother did. This is what my sisters did, my aunts did. So it takes unlearning them.
Because your father did not flush toilet, you will not flush toilet. What kind of rubbish is that?
But not just the flushing toilet. I think by nature, our men are raised to be entitled. Let's be honest about it. Our men have been raised to be entitled, to be respected, to be adored. They are demigods, not to be worshipped. Thank you. So it's something that, they have to unlearn it, but for those who are actually intentional about it.
Yeah.
But being entitled, I think we are all entitled. When you sent me the clip, I sat down and I was thinking about it. I said, okay, entitled. Because I talk about this in schools when I talk to young children, because you see this generation of kids we have, they are so entitled. They deserve every good thing life can offer. They don't need to earn it. They don't have to earn it.
And they don't need to do anything in return. They should just exist.
So that is something that has been going on and on and on. And then these children will become parents someday. So for them, you have to unlearn it. It's about being intentional. This norms, this culture is a part of your life. But if you decide, okay, I don't want to be like this. I want to be a different kind of man or a different kind of woman, because we also have it. Like I was saying, I just thought, I'm also entitled to an extent. We all have it to a certain degree. But there is toxic entitlement and there is healthy one.
Yes.
I believe I have a right to be respected. I should be respected. I have a right to be loved. And I should love us well. But the toxic one is when you feel everybody is nothing. You are one special person.
Exactly.
And you don't need to work hard to earn the things that other people earn, and every good thing should come to you first. Then the crumbs can go to other people. Now that's the one we should talk about. But being entitled, we are all entitled to an extent. If you are married, you feel entitled to your husband at some point. The husbands feel the same way as well. The kids feel. But
what I think is, when it comes to relationship, like the husband and wife relationship we talked about, let's even start from before we trickle down to the children. If your wife is, in the good habit of ensuring, domestically speaking, your house is ready for you to use, and you're also providing for that woman as much as you can, or as is inscripted in different holy books, the man who does not provide for his family is worse than infidel. So if you're not that infidel, the husband or the wife should never take it for granted that this man is providing. That's me talking. Whenever he does something nice to you, please remember to say, thank you, darling. This is wonderful. Absolutely. I know you may be expecting it. He may come back from work, buys you a packet of biscuits. Oh, that's why I like you. Never forget to buy me small things that make me happy. You have made the man feel good. The woman cooks for you, cleans your house. You go to the bathroom to bath. By the time you're out, she has stretched the bed. And you pretend you didn't notice it. That's wrong now. You should appreciate the woman. This woman, if I come next world again, I will marry you again. Each time you come around, my house changes. Even if you can do it, and once in a while you could say, okay, darling, sit down, let me do this for you. You're laughing.
You know why I'm laughing? Because I'm living in the real world in Nigeria. The woman we live in. And thank you. I say thank you.
For what now?
Let's be real.
Say thank you for everything.
It's not going to work.
Say thank you for a good plate of meal.
To work
once in a while.
It is not going to work. Look, let me tell you. We're Nigerians. The only thing that I always imagine is that when Nigerians go somewhere else, when they go abroad,
they behave differently.
That's the way we're wired.
Those men now, when you say thank you to them for providing, do they enjoy it?
Of course not.
Because why can't they say thank you for everything?
The man is the one that is supposed to fend for his family. It's not for the woman to fend for the family.
So the woman should not thank him.
When the woman starts fending for the family, then the rules are changed. So the man has to now start telling the woman, thank you for doing this, thank you for doing that. Let me use my brother as an example. I know he's going to kill me. My brother got married and went abroad. And my mom went for Mugwo. I was there as well. And you know how the thing is when you're abroad. The lady is baiting the children, the blah, 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 blah. And she said, oh, please, can you check the stuff for me? She was cooking. And my brother slapped. Why? Because he came from a tradition where men don't cook. There's certain things that men do, and there's certain things that women do. Guess what? It was a bit of a battle. But you see, my mom had to sit him down and talk to him. So now the main problem we're having is parenting. Like they say, like the food does not fall far from the tree. If you do not train your children in the way they should grow, when they grow, what do you expect?
Going to what you said,
yes.
If parents are, relating with themselves at home, and they do not know how to, appreciate one another for, good job, good services rendered, children learn more by what you say. So if my father is not going to tell my mother, thank you for this lovely plate of meal, who am I to tell my mother, thank you for cooking?
So why don't the mothers teach their kids?
Thank you. So that's what I'm saying. The mothers will teach. The husband also will be part of it. Like you said, his parents. One person will not make a child do. So why the children will always watch, what you're doing and copy it. So we should learn to make our children appreciate every single thing we give to them. Every single service we give to them. And we too, on our own, when our children clean properly, when our children do things, they go extra mile to do it. Let's say thank you for the regular ones. A big thank you for the ones they've done extra mile. I'll tell you, yesterday, we had a script. No, that was on Monday. We had a script to produce for promo. And we didn't really discuss a drama bit of it. But my winning team, as I call them, went out there, did sing what they did, what I sent to you, and added drama. They didn't discuss that with me. When I was previewing, I saw the beat. I was very happy. And I said, thank you for the extra you added for me. I don't know. The normal thank you would have done it. But I'm sure that day they felt extra happy. I didn't give them anything. Just that thank you. Appreciation. It's important. I would have been feeling okay. I'm entitled. Shebi is my production. Even if we did it, it's your job. So as parents, we should begin at home to teach our children to appreciate things by also appreciating our children. Because you paid school fees does not mean your child must come first. So if I come first, you should thank me.
Hang on, let me quickly interject. See, with the annual school fees we have in no, allow me to learn. You people are laughing. It is one thing for a child that is struggling. You know a child that is struggling. Some children will put in their best. You see them slugging it out. They read and read and read and read. And if there are 28 people in the class, they manage to come 26. That kind of child, I'll still pet you. I know you are struggling, but you are intelligent. You pick things easily, and everything. You are intelligent. I mean, like you're intelligent. I can see you are intelligent, and you've made it a habit of. If there are 15 people in the class, you come 16. When there are 15, you come 16. I mean, like, we're not in that era, and I don't believe in laying on of hands. Yeah? But I'm going to sit you down. We're going to have a conversation, sweetheart. Do you think I picked this money off the ground? You are excelling at everything else. You managed to use YouTube and learn this one. You used just reading something from Wikipedia to learn the other thing. But the one that teacher is actually standing inside the class and teaching you, and I'm paying millions. I'm paying 6 months worth of salary. That one you now went and failed it and came and you want me to give you a pat on the back. It doesn't work for me that way.
Okay, so let me tell you again why I'll give a pat on the back. Circumstance why I'll do that. If I check what we call the average and the average is above 80, I won't be angry. Reason is
I'm not looking at position.
Is important to me. Then another thing again is I want us to learn to de-emphasize certificates and position. Like you said, my child is good at this, my child is good at that. You know, we should begin to up their skills rather than emphasize on those cognitive content of the child.
So we should laziness as well.
Yes, I'm not saying
let me
that.
tell you something. I want to follow up from what she just said.
Okay.
So many parents are self-entitled that their kids have to read medicine.
Yeah.
Their kids have to do this. They have to do that. And the kids are good in art. So now we're saying the kids are failing. But you know what? Why don't we check first? Did this child want to read this? Did this child want to study this? If I come now and say, Mommy, please, I want to be a footballer. What's the next thing? There are raining courses, and you say they've started sending people from the village to come after you. What I expect the parents to do is that, why don't you check what your kids are good at? If they're good at it, why don't you support them? Don't be self-entitled. Oh, my friend's child is a doctor. So he has a kid there's a doctor in the family, there's a lawyer.
You must also be mama doctor.
That's it. So now, most parents are self-entitled. Their kids have to read certain things. So when they start coming 16 out of 15,
can I come in here?
Too bad.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
I remember when my son told me he wanted to, because when I said they had to smile, my son told me he wanted to come. In fact, he didn't tell me. He finished secondary primary school, and then I was looking at the yearbook. His mates were putting they want to become doctors and engineers, and I saw my own dear boy he want to become footballer. Honestly, I didn't feel I needed a conversation, really. But at the same time, I just asked, because in my head I said, God forbid bad thing. It will not happen, God forbid. But then I decided, listen, I don't think about being an intentional parent.
Yeah.
So I said, let's stop.
So fantastic.
Football is beautiful. I know you love football. You have a passion for football. I said, but you can do both.
Yeah.
Because what if you want to be signed up by a school, by a club and things like that? That's beautiful, but which means you're actually depending on somebody else to see you and take you. What if it doesn't happen? So let's find a way. You can go to school and still do football by the side. So if your football works, beautiful. You're a guy, I'll become your manager.
Fantastic.
I want that conversation, but in Nigeria today, to tell my child, and like you said, this is school fees. The father is trying to pay all this money, and then you come back and become football. Football. And football, perhaps you're not even excited in it.
I know.
The truth is, at the end of the day, you need to have a degree at least as backup.
I agree with you.
Push comes to shove, you get a job in the civil service.
Break your legs, that's it.
That's it. If you get an injury, that's it, and that's all. You haven't gone to school. So honestly, this football matter, we like it too, and we love our kids. But I don't go to school and do football.
All right, so let's move it away from the home now. We've dwelt on that a little bit and bring it maybe perhaps in the work environment.
Yeah.
I want to believe that spirit of entitlement is everywhere, and even in our offices, where government says we should be doing 8 hours a day for 5 days. And perhaps you're a shift worker and you do 8 hours on Monday, 8 hours on Wednesday, 8 hours on Friday. And the rest of the days, you probably don't do anything. If we begin to pay you by the hour, the way it's done abroad, that's 24 hours. Are we going to be happy? The answer will be no. So why don't we do the right things?
Do we pay?
No. What I tell people is, when you signed to do a job, you knew about that job. You still pleaded, I beg to apply.
Yeah.
Then you come in, you start complaining about the salary.
Yeah.
Did they write in the employment letter that they are going to increase your salary from 50,000 to 200,000 after 1 year? There was nothing like that.
Let me see if I understand you clearly.
I understand.
Are you saying that the worker who does not put in 8 hours every day for 5 days is shortchanging the system? I want to be sure.
No. What I'm saying is that some workers do not even show up at work.
Yes.
Some do show up and do very little things, but then most of those people are the ones that will complain first if things are not going their way.
Liz, let me ask you something. If your maid is supposed to come to work and she doesn't show up and you don't say anything, whose fault is it? It's you. It's me. It's your fault. Listen, I want to believe that everybody in this place right now, if we are given free reign, do what you please. Like me, I've never even bath this morning. Yes, I would be lying down in bed. Somebody would have given me breakfast in bed safe, and then I'll be watching my favorite crime channel. Then when I feel that I'm smelling enough, I can get up and go and take my bath and come back and come and lie down again. And if you have employed me and you allow me to do that, it's on you. It's not my fault. Because at the end of the day, yours truly will look after myself. And if I'm supposed to turn up at work today, and my boss, Mr. Olo Poroku, is the kind of person that doesn't mind whether I come to work or not, I'll go and spend time with my boyfriend.
You know, she said something about work. I was quiet for a few minutes. Yeah. Because honestly, I hope my boss is not watching this. My daughter said something. My daughter was 9 years old. One day she said to me, Didi, you need to get fired.
Jesus. Your daughter said to you?
That's the kind of children I raise. I raise children who are assertive, who can speak, and I tell them what's right and what is wrong. And I always tell them to please call me to order when I do something wrong. Fantastic. So that they would always be there for themselves as well, to take responsibility for themselves and for me. And she told me that, honestly, my body shakes more. She said, I said, why did you say that? She said, you said we should always be honorable and take responsibility. She said, this week, how many times did you go to work? You should be fired. Go. I usually carry my bag. And you went to work? And I went to work. So, you see, the thing is, like you said, we are supposed to be an example. We need to be an example to our kids. And when we do wrong, accept we do wrong. I once beat traffic, and my daughter said, oh my God, did you beat traffic? And I had to try to make excuses. And I just said, I shouldn't have done that.
Okay. Let me use as you mentioned traffic. I want to continue from there. The typical Nigerian. I am this and we are always this. You know who I am and all that. So I think I was coming from the gym one day, and not when I went to driving school, orange was supposed to be get ready to stop.
Yes.
And it was orange. And I hit the road. I forgot that my papers had expired. And here I was flagged down, and they said, Madam, why did you beat the traffic? The typical Nigerian woman. Excuse me, why did you stop me? Why? Why did you stop me? And we now started arguing. I didn't know that my paper had expired. All I needed to say was sorry. Just sorry. But you see, we're always self-entitled. Like she said, all of us have it in us. And the next thing they said, bring out your particulars. My particulars. Driver's license. I check. But no, because I was going to the gym, I didn't, because my driving license is in my purse. So here I was, no driving license, no particulars. Particulars had expired. So the guy just looked at me and said, Madam, come down. And the next thing I did, the arrogant woman that I am, I picked up the phone. Boss, the typical thing. And I started saying, and he said, what happened? I said, I was stopped by the police. And he said, so what did you do? And I said it. He said, check yourself. You're my friend. I could have told them to let you go, but give the phone to the man. And the man said, I was raining curses at him, and that was what angered him. He would have allowed me to go. And the good thing my friend did, he was top in the police, and he said, you see, is this things you people do? You will say police is not your friend. You don't get paper. You beat the traffic. Why don't we try and do the right thing? So most of the time, we tend to do the wrong things, and we start feeling self-entitled, which is very sad. It happens in the workplace. It happens at home. It happens everywhere. Because the thing here is that you go to an office in the morning, The guard there knows that you want to come in, and the guy is sitting down, and you start to wonder, who will be your guy? Did they force you to get this job? Even the bartender that wants to sell fuel to you has an attitude, and for crying out loud, the bartender, the guy at the fuel
Somebody had a good time.
I'm telling you. So the fuel attendant is there, having an attitude. He doesn't want to sell. When he's selling, because I had an experience yesterday, he just put the hose into the thing, and the fuel started. I was angry, not because of the fuel wasting, but it was going to put a mark on my car.
Yes.
And when I said it, the guy said, "Hey, madam, I beg, come and do and carry your wahala and go." And I felt so angry because one, it happened, he didn't clean it, so I had to go home and try and wash it. And I was sitting there and said, "But I paid you." And the biggest problem I have in Nigeria, you pay for service, and service is not rendered.
It's not rendered. And the people feel, okay, when you ask for it, you're telling your own too much.
Yes.
What's your problem?
Yes.
But still moving it back to the workplace, like I said, whether you're the boss or you're the subordinate, it's always important for us to appreciate people. A lot of times in workplaces, we never really get commendations for things we do. But when you don't do the right thing, you get everybody. So whether or not we are on top or under, it's important to recognize, the success stories of other people. That way you encourage them to do more, and very importantly, you also make others want to get to do the same thing too, so they too can be acknowledged.
Okay.
But then going back to what you talked about, traffic. Yesterday I was going home, and there was this two nuisance at my back, with siren, and another one escorts. I don't know who they were.
Nigeria.
And they were going like this, just by Shagalinku here. I know that place is a bit funny. So I wasn't really sure where they were going to. I parked my car, waited for them on the road, just in front of them. They started shouting. I said, "Please, you people should come and move me out." Because I don't know, that 1 minute pause they did, nothing really happened. I don't know who the big man was in there.
But the big man was sitting in the car.
I don't even see the person. But all of them stopped because I stopped.
Let me tell you something about big man. 90% of the time, you find these people doing these things. The big guys are not even in the car. It's not in the car. That's number one. Number two, sometimes the big man is like, "Please slow down." There comes a point in your life when speeding just doesn't work for you, and you're doing this and everything, and you're begging the guy to, "Please, dude, we can get to this place if you do 80. You don't have to even be 100. And yes sir. And then within 5 minutes, he's back to you. You drive until he's about to hit the car in front, then he hit the brake, and you do this, and And sometimes I'm like, okay, is this guy's way of getting back at you for like, why am I the driver and you're the big man, or I don't know what's going on. But the truth is, in my encounters with big men, you'll find that 90% of the time they are genteel, they are cultured, at least to the people they interact with outside. They will talk to you politely, nicely. Go to one big oga's office somewhere. The person that will give you attitude is the receptionist. Yeah. By the time you gain entrance and actually see the oga himself, you'll be shocked. Some of them will even get up to welcome you into their office, offer you a seat, speak to you nicely. By this time, receptionist has finished looking you up and down, you greeted you inside her throat and other things, and you wonder what is going on. So sometimes we blame these big ogas, and it's not really their fault.
So what I was saying, but you see, for me, you see that you are saying that most of the people that I know,
not in the car.
No, but most of the time I know they're in the car. Most of the time I know, like, if sometimes if you see the military people, if they're not in the car,
no, military
the thing is covered. If that person, the guy is not in the car, the thing is covered. But when they're in the car, the thing, what do you call it? The
number plate.
Not the number plate. They have this. The seal. It's like a seal. It's out. Okay. Now let me use this example. I always say sometimes that, sorry to say, most people who are in office don't deserve to be in office, because most of these people don't understand what being in office is all about.
Example.
I will use a family friend as an example. He was the Minister of Information, Emeka Chikelu. He used to drive himself to work, so it was easier for him. If you go to his house, he was doing the same things he was doing. When he was removed from power, he didn't have a problem.
He resigned, if I recall.
No, he didn't resign. The normal thing, they can drop you out and then they bring other people because they were family friends. And I looked at him and guess what? It was parenting. Of course, it was parenting. So, sorry to say, these other people, I don't know how they grew up. I don't know their family history. But the thing here is, I interact with so many supposedly people in office. Excuse me, they are the ones that will tell their driver to beat the traffic.
I'm not telling you. I totally believe what you said.
Yeah, because
even though she also has the point.
This is not my reality.
Well, that is why I say that. You see, the good thing in life. You see, the good thing in life is that all of us are in different realities in life. We have different set of friends, different set of people we do business with. So now is, how do you want to know that is the position that they are in if they don't beat the traffic?
They don't queue for anything. They go to the gas station. They just beat all the line.
Okay, I had an experience. I was there, and the traffic, the light was red, and the next thing I heard at the back of my car was a bang.
They move it.
No, they bashed my car. And the next thing, when I came out, if you see the policemen that came out, I wasn't afraid, but guess what? The Oga there, who I expected to do the right thing, was raining curses at me. And when it was time for green, they left me there and they drove off. So many people have had accidents. They've injured so many people that I know. And everybody just goes like that because the typical thing in Nigeria, they're entitled.
There's good and bad.
Yesterday's one, there were 3 cars on the whole, and the man was inside there because I saw it clearly. But he didn't come out. I don't know the person. He didn't come out. He didn't say anything. But I think when they looked at me, they noticed there was this one woman who was just helpless. I was looking at them. They found their way and went. But I think that if you're a big man, supposedly big man in the right sense of it, you should lead by example.
That's very important.
You should lead by example. I respect a man who respects me, and behaves appropriately, obeys rules and regulations. Somebody was telling me one day, just same yesterday, I went to the other side of the office. He said, why don't you do one way? I said, no. I don't keep bad records. I like to be obedient, so that when trouble comes my way, I will know how to do it. So don't feel because you're carrying government ID card, you could do things that are wrong. You're sitting in a position, you could do things that are wrong. Mentality spirit, that entitlement spirit. When it comes, one day you're not going to be there. When you come back, those people you matched, they'll put you on the ground, on the floor, and match you back. So it's important. But let's see. A lot of people are writing in here. Let me see the much I can take. I saw one. I was laughing. But let me read that one quickly. He said something that we were discussing just before the program. He said, you women gathered to discuss a sensitive topic like this without a man in your midst. And she added, I'm a woman. You didn't write your name down. But we'll explain it to you because we already mentioned this in the morning. Number 1, this program is meant for women. Once in a while, we bring in men. Today we actually made effort to bring Ezra. But he called off at the last minute. If you were a man, I would have said, okay, walk across and join us, but you are not. So I'll go ahead and read the next one. Sisterly, please, God is aware of what you did. Even the person didn't regard it. I am Cletus. I am from Rivers. Well, I don't know
the story I told.
Oh, okay, yeah, your story. Okay, good morning, amazing women. My name is Nelly Teslim. I beg to say that some things still do work in Nigeria despite our cultural antecedents. My husband is very empathetic. Oh, that's nice. He verbally appreciates me. Please help me thank Mr. Teslim and all my efforts, and that makes me want to do more. Even when I change the decor at home, he immediately shows that he's a world. He cooks when he is free, yet we live in Nigeria. Oh, he added, oh, she added, oh. Unfortunately, he is the opposite of a typical man where I come from. I tell you, these things truly depend on upbringing and personal training. Okay, let's take one more before we comment on that. My name is Dairo. First time I'm watching from the other side. Beautiful show. Nigerians naturally feel entitled to everything. It's wrong and we need to change it. I know this Dairo. Dairo, thank you. You're joining Billy. Good. Okay, so this woman that she says her name is Nelly Teslim. I quite appreciate, maybe we have a word of saying thank you to her for appreciating her husband. But then there's something she said here. She said when the man appreciates her, she wants to do more. I'd like us to, talk more on, feedback when people are properly motivated, which is that appreciation.
You see, I don't even understand how people are able to see effort and not appreciate it. I don't understand. You see, this Almighty God that created us,
loves it.
In the Christian way, Christian tradition, we are told that the more you praise God, the more you get out of Him. And in fact, when you are facing your deepest troubles, your deepest challenges, that is when you should praise God even more, because of the blessings that flow therefrom. We are made in God's image and likeness.
Sure.
I'm the kind of person who I'm not looking for praise, I'm not looking for flattery, but genuine appreciation makes me feel like going above and beyond. I feel like bending over backward to do even more. I actually hate flattery. I hate undue praise. But if I know that this thing I did for this person is due, so I don't understand it when men are particularly guilty of this. I don't know why men really take it for granted. I know we've said it's to be more intentional. When your wife does those things that are, after all, it is her duty, say something, even if it isn't. Find something good to say about it. The thing is, most people know their shortcomings.
Sure.
So if I put a very salty meal in front of you, I'm already praying to Almighty God that you didn't notice. So if you eat it and you're like, I would have taken so much more, but I'm full. But that was nice, thanks, and I know it's salty, but the fact that you didn't throw it in my face and make me feel bad about it will make me just that. Every other thing, and the wives too, for the women who feel that after all he's my husband, he must do this, that and the other, saying thank you is just bare courtesy. It shows that you are aware. It shows that do you know how many men's wives are looking after them? Then your husband will manage to pay school fees, give you pocket money, bring money for food, parent and everything, and you'll be collecting it as if.
So women are bringing the money and they still get beaten.
And get beaten up and everything.
I think that, you see, I've always believed that this hadith I learned as a 10-year-old child, it has always taken my, what do you call it, mantra? It has always been my mantra. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Treat every time. When something happens to me and I'm about to ask myself, would I be happy if really I serve you something or I'm served something, it makes me feel good, and I would love for you to say thank you. I would say thank you to you.
When I say thank you, I grew up knowing that every time that I eat, anytime, morning, afternoon, anytime I was given stuff. That was how my mom taught me, whether you like it, whether it is sweet, whether it is the thing you don't like, I was taught that, like me, I don't eat too many things. So I was taught that don't go to places where you visit and say, I don't eat this. If they give you, eat it. But what I did was, because I couldn't eat it, I couldn't say I didn't like it. But all I used to say was, I'm fasting. Even though I wasn't fasting, because that was the only way for me not to show. Because I know it's really rude when you go, I know they chop beans. I don't eat this, I don't eat that. And there's so many things I don't eat because I react to them.
Good morning, ma'am. Just continue your discussion, ma'am. We are all men in this hard country. Regards. You don't write your name. Let someone else has written to us. Say good morning to you all in the studio. Today's topic is very crucial in our society today. Keep on the good work. And it says it's Chris writing from Nasarawa. Let's see. Good morning. We love your show. I'm Jude Ahom, a screenwriter, screenwriter from Benue State. The entitlement mentality is a huge takeoff. I think the problem starts from home. Training, not teaching your children to even say simple thank you, just like you said. All right, thank you very much. My time is all. Enjoy that. But before we leave, I would want to say on a very short note that we should go to what JFK said. Think what you can do for your country and know what your country can do for you. If you look at it that way, the other books say that it is better to be the giver and not the taker. There's knowledge of God in the person. You're saying money. Okay, this woman has just arrived. Something must fall. This woman has just arrived. She has to eat something. Give her. And when you give, relax, more will come out. It's been a wonderful show for all of us. Thank you for coming. And I cannot leave. For those of you who are outside, unfortunately, me, I don't have any entitlement spirit too. Thank you. It's not plastic. I'm fasting.
Good one. Oh, you hit it, man. She's fasting.
Oh my God.
Bye. I'm not fasting. That one, are you really fasting? No.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the
Hello, welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Broadcast live from Abuja, I am Muslim cooperation with Poland. Nigeria and Poland signed Memorandum of Understanding on Agriculture as part of effort to deepen economic cooperation. 47-year-old Liz Truss formally appointed British Prime Minister after Boris Johnson, who resigned after scandal-hit government.
You are spending 2 billion outside appropriation. Even more unfortunate that you're a fully funded agency, you're expected to do 100% remittance.
House cautions ministries, departments and agencies of governments overspending from internally generated revenue. Nigerian Army to organize seminar to encourage local manufacturing of military equipment. Thanks a lot for staying tuned in to the news. Nigeria and Republic of Poland have resolved to cooperate and collaborate more effectively towards supporting efforts at addressing the food and energy crisis bedeviling the global community as a result of the war in Ukraine. Constitute countries as part of a strategic dialogue aimed at deepening and expanding the economic cooperation. This formed the major highlights of the high-level talks between President Muhammadu Buhari and the Polish Republic counterparts Andrzej Duda in Abuja. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Duda of the Republic of Poland by President Muhammadu Buhari on arrival at the State House, Nigeria's seat of government. The Nigerian leader was in Poland in December 2018, but for the Polish, this is the first visit by any of their leaders to Nigeria since the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries over 60 years ago. Exchange of pleasantries over, the two leaders retreated for a one-on-one talks behind closed doors, after which the John as well as Africa and indeed Europe were discussed, prominent of which is the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war and its negative impact on global food and energy security. To this end, agriculture towards deepening and expanding economic cooperation between the two countries. Addressing a joint news conference shortly after, President Duda confirmed that Nigeria is the only African country with which Poland has signed such an agreement.
Of our relations, but also for the future of the food security in Nigeria and at large. It can also contribute to the modernization and increasing the efficiency of Nigerian economy and Nigerian agriculture.
This visit underscores the cordial relations that exist in the relationship. I wish to express the readiness of Nigeria to enlarge the fields of economic cooperation with Poland, including the fields of energy, agriculture and manufacturing.
Although more MOUs on ways and means of addressing the worrisome global energy crisis, especially as it affects Europe.
The talks that we have had today are essential from the perspective of supplying both LNG gas as well as oil to Poland. We want to increase the supplies from Nigeria to Poland, and by this way we also want to contribute to the development of economic relations.
In spite of the long period of relations between our two countries, to the sharing of knowledge and experience between our knowledge economy.
Discussions between the two leaders also touched on the highly cherished people-to-people cooperation, the Polish government for not only supporting Nigeria in evacuating her nationals fleeing the war in Ukraine, but also the opportunity given to Nigerian students amongst them to remain in Poland to continue with their studies. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And a stop away from the shores of this country, Liz Truss has officially been appointed by the Queen of England, who is the third woman to be so appointed.
Mary Elizabeth Truss, popularly called Liz Truss, emerged the third female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom after Theresa May and Margaret Thatcher. Truss succeeds former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who was forced to resign his appointment after several resignations from his cabinet over a series of scandals. Johnson and his wife Carrie were applauded by staff as they leave number 10 Downing Street to pave way for Liz Truss. Before her emergence as the 56th Prime Minister Affairs of the UK, she formally took office after Boris Johnson tendered his resignation to Queen Elizabeth II. Born on 26 July 1975, Liz Truss, a member as a backbencher, she called for reform in several policies. After David Cameron resigned in July 2016, Truss was appointed Secretary of State for Justice and Lord's Office. She served in various cabinet offices under Prime Minister David Cameron, Theresa May, and Boris Johnson. Truss promised to rest on
with the energy crisis caused by Putin's war. I will take action this week to deal with energy bills and to secure our future energy supply.
As Prime Minister, she faces the immediate task of tackling what analysts called the worsening cost of living crisis and handling a Brexit arrangement about Northern Ireland to avoid antagonizing the European Union. Adebola Brookslyn, NTA News.
In a cabinet, Ekene Ndulwe reports on that.
The leading cabinet lieutenants of Britain's third woman prime minister share her right-wing ideology. They are all also people of color. For the first time in UK history, no white men will occupy any of the four great offices of state. Prime Minister, Treasury made bigger strides towards ethnic and gender diversity in their top ranks that retains a hold on most non-white voters who credit its progressive economic policies and its historical fight against racism. With arguably the toughest brief at a time of economic crisis, Kwasi Kwarteng was appointed by Truss to become Britain's first black Chancellor of the Exchequer. As the first black Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly will offer Zuela Braverman, whose family roots are in India, was meanwhile named Home Secretary with oversight of policing and immigration. The new ministers are ardent opponents of walk out to Rwanda.
So the new Prime Minister is set for work. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari held this trusted position of leadership. The President rejoices with the former Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs of the United Kingdom, whose antecedents in government, politics and diplomacy will further shape and strengthen relations with Nigeria and other nations. The Nigerian leader affirms that there leads to deepen that relationship in the interest of both countries. And the statement signed by Femi Adesina, a special advisor, media advisor, President Muhammadu Buhari appreciates the warmth and friendliness of immediate past Prime Minister Boris Johnson, wishing him the best in his future endeavors. China is a clear example of how tourism and culture can revitalize a nation's economy. Between Chinese and Nigerian delegates at the launch of the 2022 Chinese Tourism and Cultural Week in Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe reports.
For over 50 years, Nigeria and China was recently signed by both countries with the intent of improving person-to-person relationship and the opportunity for China to showcase how far they have gone in that sector.
I am fully convinced that if both China and Nigeria continue to work together to put forward our two countries' cooperation in many fields, including tourism and culture, a brighter future and a fruitful result must belong to us.
For the Nigerian delegation, much needs to be done to replicate the Chinese success.
Well, so that we can move hand in hand with the Chinese government.
The over 50 years bilateral relationship between China and Nigeria has really provided us with a lot of experience. A lot of experience for us to learn.
Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
And from the National Assembly, the House of Representatives Committee on Finance is seeking for sound management of a Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission disclosed that it has expended parts of its IGR running into billions of naira on overheads. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The Finance Committee has in the past couple of days been engaging revenue-generating agencies of government on the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. At this sitting, with officials of the federal remitted only 2.6 billion naira into the Consolidated Revenue Fund from the 7.6 billion naira revenue the Commission generated from January 2021 to July 2022. The committee stressed that spending money that has not been appropriated is contrary to provisions of the Constitution.
Remitted 1 billion
yes, sir,
out of 4 billion.
Out of 4 billion, sir.
What happened to the remaining 3 billion?
We use it as a running cost, sir.
That half year, you have spent 2 billion outside appropriation. Even more unfortunate that you're a fully funded agency, you're expected to do 100% revenue budget.
Yes, sir.
Outside national budget.
Members of the committee requested the Commission to submit documents containing details of approvals and asked the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation to stop the Commission from accessing government funds. Also at the hearing was the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Lamido Yuguda, who impressed the committee for being prudent in management of funds. The News Agency of Nigeria was advised to reconcile its books with the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
This is News at 10 on NTA, News 24 coming from Abuja. Time for a very short break. More news in just a moment. Stay with us. Thanks a lot for sticking around. Here's still news at 10 on NTA News 24. It's time to go into the world of business to see the latest happenings.
Following the global energy crisis, the ministers spoke on Tuesday during a panel session at the 50th anniversary edition of Gas Tech Conference 2022 in Milan, Italy. The minister maintained that funding of gas development was a win-win for Europe, which has provided a clear fiscal framework for gas development. Nigeria will be able to attract more investment to the sector and increase its reserves. To the equities market, where trading session closed on a negative note. The all-share index shed 0.69% to close 49,644.92 basis points, and equity capitalization fell to 26.7 trillion naira. 138.9 million shares valued at 2.7 billion naira were traded in 41,247 deals. The top three trades were Sterling Bank PLC, Transco, and Zenith Bank. With business news, Comfort and Modu.
The ECOWAS Commission is championing a robust science and technology initiative to give the sub-region a push in the application of research outcomes and serving societal challenges. Kelvin Ehunwaye reports.
The West African Forum on Research and Innovation is designed to lead to the formulation of a policy document that will drive a uniform agenda on science and technology in member countries. The forum, to be hosted in Abuja, Nigeria in October, seeks to create a regular framework for consultation between all scientific and innovation actors in the sub-region, especially research institutions, and attract a pool of resources from the private sector. This idea, the Nigerian government says, is in line with its vision for a 21st century Africa that can compete in the global space and develop science-based solutions to the continent's challenges.
We just have to join the queue and of course move at our own pace, but at the same time share experiences, and that is the essence of FARI.
The issues around science, technology and innovation is becoming a very critical issue to get more women involved, because the more women are involved. Just last week we trained some 15 women on how to produce solar dryers. So they manufacture it from the scratch, and this is going to help our community development.
The scientific committee to actualize this vision is headed by Hokunun Mahmoud Norbert, a professor of mathematics from the Republic of Benin, with 5 other experts including Nigeria's Dr. Obi Valentine, the founder of eTransat. In Abuja, Kelvin Eronwaye, NTA News.
Leaving about 3 persons dead, and following that robbery attack on UBA, First Bank and Zenith Bank, Ankpa simultaneously, the Commissioner of Police Kogi State Police Command, CP Edward Ebuka, is immediately led a team of tactical operatives overseas for on-the-spot assessments, and has equally ordered the deployment of additional operational assets consisting of operatives of the police mobile force counter-terrorism restore normalcy in the area. A statement by Police Public Relations Officer, Kogi State Police Command, SP William Aya, indicates that the police personnel on duty, both of the other station and the bands, quickly recovered from the sudden attack and gallantly repelled the attackers, who were forced to flee, some into nearby bushes, others with their vehicles. The hoodlums abandoned 3 vehicles used for the operation in their haste to escape, some of them with bullet wounds. The CP used this medium to call on the people of Ankpa and its adjoining communities to be on the lookout and report any body seen with bullet wounds to the police or other security forces nearby. The CP assures that the command is committed to working in synergy with other security agencies as well as patriotic stakeholders in the ongoing onslaught against crimes and criminality to make the state a safe and secure place for all and sundry. He further tasked the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the Investigation Department, SCID, to commence investigations so as to unravel the remote and immediate causes of the act, trail the hoodlums with a view to apprehend and bring them to book. He urges members of the public to go about their lawful businesses as they continue to collaborate with the police and other security agencies with credible and timely information on the activities of criminal elements in the environs. Research and developments critical in improving military hardware production to tackle emerging security challenges in Nigeria. This informed the decision by the Doctrine and Training Command. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has the reports.
This M1A variant of artillery gun was modified in 2021 by the Nigerian Army School of Artillery, Kachia, Kaduna State, to improve its efficiency. With a 4-man detachment capacity, the self-propelled platform is among equipment displayed by the Training and Doctrine Command, Nigerian Army.
Nigerian Army TRADOC put this together so that we can harmonize a number of things that all the army schools are doing by way of research and development. The idea is to see how innovations and creativity, inventions that have been put together by these schools can be harmonized and deployed for the purposes of dealing with immediate challenges that we are facing as a nation with respect to security.
These platforms are product of research and development. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
There is a renewed commitment by the security agencies to end insurgency before the end of this year. Director on Countering Terrorism Financing for Law Enforcement Agents and Judicial Officers in Abuja, Francis Form, reports.
And we are enhancing national security.
It's been 48 hours of being in a classroom, as it were, security personnel and judicial officers equipping themselves with the needed intellectual tools to over the terrorists and their financiers. For Justice Obiora Egwatu of the Federal High Court, who read the summary, the workshop provided a security manual for contemporary crime fighting.
Addressing the deficiencies in the mutual evaluation report of Nigeria as it relates to the services at DSS, as well as deepening knowledge on terrorism financing through information sharing among competent authorities involved in combating money laundering.
Director General of the DSS was emphatic on the need for interagency collaboration, intelligence sharing to over the security situation in the country.
If you want to counter terrorism or fight terrorism, or you want to track terrorism financing, intelligence is always very crucial. And you should know that the terrorists are not deterred by hard or the arrangements in the hard targets.
Yusuf Bichi advises the participants to take the issue of planning serious in their operations. Francis from NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We're taking another break and we'll return with more reports.
The day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International. Your window through the world.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you. In your living room, office, and everywhere, anywhere. We provide a company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview channel 264, or live streaming via www.visiontv.co.uk. And to watch NTA International in the USA, Canada, and Mexico, use the following satellite parameters. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.